for. It's for tomorrow, for every spark, for Cybertron and the light in the dark. Transformers, robots in disguise. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, from dark to light. Transformers, Transformers, hear the call. Transformers, stand for all. From the ashes we rise again. For Cybertron, for
And now, through the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future, Transformers Slag Podcast.
What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? It's Transformers Slag Podcast, our live stream main event. Your host, Proto Man. I'm the face that runs this place. I'm the music that you now hear Monday to Friday, apparently. How we all doing? Like the new music we put? That's going to be a little something in the future. Official Hasbro stuff. So that's all I'm going to say. 40th anniversary, the 30th anniversary, the 15th anniversary of a lot of different things are going to be happening in 2026. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And there's going to be a lot of hype stuff coming. Twins Corner, Twins, TFCon Twins already has a Proto. What episode song was that in your intro? Stay tuned for that. I can't say much about it right now. That's it. Just gave you guys a little preview of that. You will see in the near future. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of stuff. Let's put it this way. It was a busy 24 to 48 hours for me. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes and news and all kinds of stuff. And oh my God, my comic dropping at midnight last night without warning. Whole bunch of craziness. My phone blowing up when I wanted to go to bed. So needless to say, how we all doing? Who's in the chat today? Let's take a look. We got James Hopkins. We got Victory. How you doing, Victory? Haven't seen you in a second. We got Some Kiat, the twins from the Twins Corner. We got Bigum. We got Cringe McCringle. How you doing, Cringe? Decepticon for Life. Big Bot Bodega. Patrick Brown. Tom Laney. Rudy Mack. How you doing, Rudy? Mateus, what's up? Will Murphy. I hope I'm not missing nobody. It's all flying by. Or Young. How you doing, Young? I'll see you soon. El Kevo. Who else? Patrick Brown, I believe I said. Navio, what's up? Want to make sure I don't miss none of my peeps and my patron members. Brandon Miller, how you doing? Where are we at? I mentioned Bigum. God, there's so many names. It's been a busy day. So, JR Mina from the Philippines. Larry is here. Larry, you're actually a YouTube member. I guess that happened by accident. So, let's jump into it. We're going to cover the news. We're going to cover some new images. We have some stuff that Hasbro sent us directly, a video, which I believe I shared it on Twitter, I believe. But we'll get into it all. We'll cover as much as we can. We have some new stuff. We have some new updates. We got all the good stuff, but let's jump into it like we always do. I got 2 bottles of water here today because I know just how much it's going to be. So let's go. So let's start first. Let's talk about Swapticons. Wave 3 of the stock images are starting to surface. Hasbro sent directly to me from their marketing team these high-res images of them. I'm amazed, like the other news websites didn't post these images at all. Like, we were sent 3 different packages and they only showed the 5-pack. They didn't show these ones. Now, granted, these were kind of shown a little bit because they leaked out in Asia in some places, but we never got like the full HD images and the alt modes and stuff. So here's Black Arachnian Tarantulas. Here's Lazorbeak. I love that Lazorbeak is getting love after 30 years. And we got Pterosaur also in the Swapticon sets. I mean, I'm going to be like, let's just look at it from the business side of it. Essentially, what's happening is since Kingdom, there's been a lot of trademarks that haven't been reused in the Western market for trademark reasons. And a lot of those Kingdom characters were obviously Beast Wars characters. You'll still see a Prowl, you'll see an Inferno, you'll see, but you need, where are you going to put Black Arachnia? Where are you going to put a Tarantulas or a Pterosaur? Some of those others have to be used in their 4-year periods. And a line like Swapticons is rife and perfect for that. Before Swapticons, it was bots, it was bot shots, it was tiny turbo changers, it was tiny titans, it was Creo. There was always a good place to put that stuff. As me as a ridiculously huge Beast Wars fan, I welcome it, even if the business side of it is the only real reason why this is happening. But I welcome it greatly because I love the art. I love the faces that are painted on. And if it gives me a Lazorbeak figure after 30 years, sure, why not? Maybe I'll get a proper Lazorbeak at some point, but I'll stick with this one right now. And again, like I mentioned before, the 5-pack with more Beast Wars love and a little bit of G1 and G2 love on it. Again, if you saw my individual segment about it, I'm not a fan of how the copy was handled with it. Once again, the copy with this stuff is handled by West Coast Hasbro, which unfortunately kind of phones in a lot of the copyright. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. But you got Beast Wars Megatron and Beast Wars Dinobot combining together to make the big purple dino, which is wacky when you think about it. And then you got Decepticon Scar. That's one of my problems that I have with the copy. They clearly didn't do their research because I did a little test. If you type Transformers Scar, Google AI suggests a Decepticon character Power Master, which is the one that was associated with Double Dealer, or is known as Double Clouder in Master Force. And they didn't even bother to click on it to make sure it's the right character. They just assumed that this was the same character, and that was that. So don't hire people. Don't hire people that don't know their job. These guys get paid pretty well to work on the Transformers brand when there's other people that would kill for the opportunity. And it's such a shame when I see stuff like this. This happened before last year when they did the Studio Series 86 Jazz reissue, and they clearly just used Google AI to put together the bio. And Google AI used the most Google Jazz at the time, which was movie jazz. Yeah, don't use AI to put your product together. That stuff is forever, my friend. Do your job properly, or someone else will do it better. You don't deserve to get paid for that. But anyways, going on that rant again. I just hate it when that happens. But you got Decepticon Scar's clearly Autobot Scar, the 6th Dinobot that debuted in the IDW comics and then got some core class love from the Hasbro crew in the East Coast and Rhode Island. And then, of course, we got the namesake of the podcast, even though it's his new namesake. We got the Dinobot Slug, aka Slag. Very awesome stuff. And then a G2 Grimlock using the old Grimlock tooling from the first wave of Swapticons. So we'll probably see a snarl at some point in the next 5-pack or something. This is the Dino Mission 5-pack. It's going to retail for $19.99 and will be shipping out early 2026, if not already. Some of the Walmarts in East Asia have already started to find these. And the 2-packs that we mentioned previously, oops, I already jumped ahead there. Wrong one. The 2-packs that we mentioned previously those are going to be $8.99. Now, I want to just keep in mind here, because we always talk about, the business and finance side of it too. Swapticons, especially these 5-packs, historically have gone on sale. Can't reach for it right now. I have one of my Swapticon sets that I bought 5-pack for $5 Canadian. It was on crazy liquidation at one point, that very first wave. So look, I love Swapticons, but when I go to my Transformer section, they're probably the only thing that's sitting on the shelves remaining, outside of when Earthspark was still a thing on the shelves and some of the Transformer One product. So no rush. No rush. Hey, do I want a Beast Wars Megatron and Dinobot combiner? 200%. Do I want to get a Transformer Slag Swapticon? 200%. But I'll wait. I'll wait. These guys have historically always gone on sale, so we'll see. Now, might as well show this too. So we also got the official images of the tiny turbo changers. Now, these are available in retail right now. They were found in a Walmart in Fayetteville. So they are confirmed out there. They come in full display cases of 30, and it has been confirmed now recently of someone who bought a case and cracked them open. There's one of each character, two of each character in the case of 30. There's 15 to collect. If you see on this screen here, there's letters next to each one of these characters. The blind bags do have a code on the back that is a little perforated letter, and each one of these letters here correspond to what that character is. So this guy right here is going to be looking for a lot of eyes, or maybe it's chosen one. Ooh, who knows? But either way, the big takeaway from this though is that compared to the original Tiny Turbo Changers, these have a ton of paint deco on them. They like doubled or tripled the paint deco on these Tiny Turbo Changers, completely making almost all the Cyberverse ones we got before useless. They almost look like bootlegs now compared to these, which is crazy because I bought all of them. So these look really good. I think the only one that, like I said, only the RC I think is the one that's maybe like you could debate if that one's better or not. But we got whole crew here, a whole bunch of them. I love how the Black Arachnia uses its animated color scheme. So even though most of these represent Cyberverse characters, except for maybe Elita 1 and RC, Elita 1 is clearly colored to look like either her G1 counterpart or her Transformers 1 counterpart. And RC is clearly colored to look like either her animated counterpart or maybe a mild nod to her one version of her G1 counterpart in terms of the hues and colorings. But Black Arachnia is clearly her animated version, and that's really, really awesome. But these look great. They're fun. They're fun little things. They're $3.99 blind pack. The codes are here. Go pick yourself up a little pocket transformer, carry around a little bumblebee in your pocket. Make sure it's not your stinger. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So check that out too. Those are available right now at Walmart and Target in your local area. Next up, we have all of these bad boys. We finally got some better images that came out. We'll definitely talk more about this later this week because there's going to be a lot more. So let's talk first about the MPMN line. So Takara Tomy with their T-Spark segmentation, T-Spark being their adult-based stuff, more aimed at an older audience and higher-end collectors. Their MPMN, which stands for Movie Masterpiece Next Series. And they're launching much like they do with their Missing Link stuff, where their big high-end items launch with 2 different deco choices. They're launching with 2 different deco choices for Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe. And man, now that I think about it, I probably should have reached, you know what? One moment. Let me go get both of them. Get it off the shelf. Ah, where are you, you dusty bum? There he is. God, I probably haven't touched this figure, giggity, in, geez, I want to say maybe 10 years, 15 years, probably 10 years at this point. So we have Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe, and then they offer here, if you want Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe G1 Red Edition. But we all know who they're really trying to make here. We got Revenge of the Fallen Movie Swerve. So that's pretty cool because, I mean, Movie Swerve pretty much is straight up a red repaint with a different head sculpt of the Sideswipe. So if you're one of those hardcore Michael Bay fan, especially someone who might have bought this when they were a kid or a crazy ass guy in his 20s at the time. Jeez, it's almost 20 years now. Um, yeah, man, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. It's clear that they're like, it's clearly just a clever mistake, if anything. It's like, oh, hey, let's do his G1 colors, and it just works out that way. But I mean, it's like they forgot that the Swerve repaint had two different versions. I have the legend scales in there too, because he came from a 5-pack. He's more in the back. I'm not going to try to reach him now, but very, very cool. Very, very cool. I dig that. I like that they're giving people options, and from their perspective, I see that, from their perspective, it's like, you know what? We're already doing the tooling. We're already firing it up in the factory. And it's something where why not? Like we already got like the molds out. We already got the factory workers trained for the assembly. Might as well two different color releases, two different color waves. And sure, is the red one going to be the less seller of the two? 100%. But chances are the orange is probably worth the squeeze in this kind of case. And I like the idea. Hell, I'll be honest with you. I kind of want both. I'll be honest with you, because I kind of like the idea that this could be Swerve. And knowing third party companies, someone's going to make a new head sculpt for that to just hammer it in. And then you'll get a masterpiece Revenge of the Fallen Swerve. Who would have thought that was on my bingo card? You know? So I dig it. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Looks great. Then we got this bad boy, and I love that they now show how the glow in the dark plastic's going to look. We got the new segmentation from Takara. This is the new subline that they're going to be doing called Transformers New Legends. It's going to be very similar to what they did before, celebrating again the 20th anniversary of Transformers having some kind of throwback collector line to the past. 20 years ago, we had Transformers Classics, which was the beginning of that, and Takara made their parallel series, which was called Henkei, which is to transform, Transformers Henkei, or Henkei Henkei, and then Gente Dente, which is a whole other story. But so now they're doing a 20th anniversary celebration of that. So we're returning to Takara having a parallel line of their special painted Japanese versions of mainline kind of stuff through our Generations line. Transformers New Legends. And the first of these new legends is a redeco of the new sculpting of the Lio Convoy anime edition that they have with their 40th selection. So this is going to be New Legends, Lio Convoy, Legendary Green Lio edition, or Green Lion edition, excuse me. And what's cool about this one is it's glow in the dark. Not only does it throw back to that final battle mode that he had when he merged his Matrix with Lio Convoy Jr. to face Galvatron 2, but he also has glow in the dark plastic, which is a rarity in the 40 years of Transformers' history. I mean, it's literally like 4 products that have ever done that. And none of them were ever like really mainline stuff outside of that recent Earthspark Megatron. So very cool that doing that. That thing's going to be awesome because I have a few like I have a few third-party Transformers that for some reason have a glow in the dark element on it. And whenever I turn off all the lights in this room, it's the only thing that glows. I have a world's smallest Ultra Magnus and a world's smallest Starscream. And for whatever reason, for the longest time, I thought they were just, they're just clear plastic versions. And nope, they're glow in the dark and they're awesome. And that's the only ones when I really turn off this room, aside from the Tycho stuff and a few other things, because I didn't get that Earthrise Megatron, Spark Megatron yet. But very cool. We don't have a date yet for this, but we do know that in March is when in February is the 40th selection Lio Convoy. That one's coming out. So I imagine this will be afterwards, but I'll get into a moment with the deeper info of all of that. And speaking of which, let's talk about the next of Missing Link C12 Grimlock. So every piece of articulation I imagined he would have is going to be there, although historically, and I've said this before, if you really want to get like a spoiler on how the articulation is going to be with a Missing Link, you just got to look at their G1 box art. And, G1 box art Grimlock had knees. So I was like, oh, this guy's going to have knees for sure. But he looks great. Fantastic. I mean, he was a figure, first of all, back in the day, was such an icon. Absolute icon. Just like it looked great. It was such a great figure. It had decent articulation for its time. Came with great accessories. Was one of those like really good figures in comparison to some of those Car Robot 1980, 81, 82 Diaclone Microman sculpts that really were a little more fidgety and fragile, some of those vehicles, but such a great figure. And not to mention a mold that was lost to the ages. Like after 1993, Hasbro and Takara just lost the tooling for this guy. And I was reading so many comments going, why doesn't Hasbro just reverse engineer it? Guys, I can't, like, I gotta find like where's those Final Faction figures? One moment, because they're always the best example of that. The average action figure. Okay, we're gonna do a little toy lesson here today. The average action figure between the late 70s up until, no joke, Todd McFarlane kind of shaked up the game. Obviously we're gonna put GI Joe on the side there, but the average action figure had a buck. A buck was pretty much this kind of shape, 5 points of articulation. That was it. And those 5 points of articulation usually were entire sculpts of plastic. This little robot figure here from Final Faction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because 6, 7. Oh God, I'm guilty of that. 6 and 7 here were a front and a back that were sonic welded. That's why you usually don't have a screw for most action figures. So it was like welded together. And that's what held the figure together. That's what held the figure together. 7 pieces of plastic, probably $5 of deco hits. And I'm being nice here. If it was a modern figure, obviously the Final Faction stuff probably have like $2 in deco hits or 50 cents of deco hits. But that's that. When you get into a GI Joe, you're talking now 18 pieces of plastic, not counting obviously the O-ring and the T crotch die cast that's used for that too. When you get into a G1 Transformer, no joke, if you took apart Grimlock, if you took him apart screw by screw, you'd be finding plastic components, sliders, clips, jammers, all kinds of stuff that you do not see on the surface of this figure. No joke, this thing is probably like 200 pieces. So keep in mind how a toy is made. I love this whole, why don't you just reverse engineer it? You make it sound like it's Star Trek and you can just kind of put it in a replicator or something. You have to take it all apart. First of all, you have to find the original tooling, take it all apart, individually cast mold every single piece. Then hope that every cast molded piece that you've done doesn't have problems. Because a good example of that was they had the original tooling for G1 Jazz, but for some reason his head sculpt was damaged. Like the mold that was made for his head sculpt was damaged. So they had to reverse engineer his head. They did just his head. And it was a whole headache just to do that. And they couldn't, the lip for some reason, when they would reverse engineer it, it wouldn't look nice and everything. That's why when there's bootlegs of Transformers, which are usually sometimes reverse engineered, there's always something different with the sculpting. It's a little bigger, it's a little smaller. So it's not that easy. It's not that easy. A lot of people, they always think that, but that's why for years he's been lost. And it's not worth the time and energy for Hasbro to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and days and days and days and months and months. And keep in mind, someone has to get paid to do all of this. And then look at some of our G1 reissues. Sometimes they sell poorly. So to do all of that for it to just lavish and retail when we've had so many other Grimlock figures throughout the years, goes back to what I just said. Sometimes the orange is not worth the squeeze. So in this case, they did something from the ground up, brand new tooling, absolutely fantastic. Comes with all his classic weapons. Obviously, his sword this time, they made it a translucent kind of white instead of the original red that it was molded in. And what's really cool is the original Grimlock obviously was a Diaclone figure. And it had a cockpit as a result of that. Now, that cockpit was never utilized or in any way used in Transformers, but it was something that was present on the figure because of its origins. And they figured, hey, it's going to have a cockpit. We're going to include Diaclone drivers anyways with a lot of these guys. Why not include a Diaclone driver that once again does a nod to something? And we have a little Diaclone Carly here, painted up and everything to include with that. That's very cool. That's very, very cool. Now it makes me wonder if they're going to do probably a redeco of him and do a anime Grimlock with, blue eyes, blue visor, maybe no gold on the chest, more matte, maybe come with an extra accessory or something like a brain scanner or whatever. But maybe they'll include, Spike. Maybe they'll include Daniel Witwicky. Maybe they'll include Chip Chase. Hey, man, give Chip Chase some love. You know, who knows? Maybe Spark Plug. Who knows? But very, very cool. I dig this. My only fear is what's going to be the price for this guy because this is a heavy hitter. Ultra Magnus was pricey because he was big. He had a lot of parts. There's a lot of die cast on him. I almost understand that, although it is a little pricey, the Ultra Magnus. This guy here, he's not as big as Ultra Magnus. He doesn't have as many parts as Ultra Magnus or as much plastic that has to be sculpted. But there is the value of the character that it represents. And Grimlock is a legendary 7 character, always will sell extremely well, you know, historically, especially when you do a high-end item like this. So it's something where they go, yeah, we could ask X, but we could also ask, you know, $10 more of X and make, you know, more profit of Y. So we will see. We will see. And then the last one. Oh yeah. Let's get ready for this one here. MPG 20 Style Gen Hot Rodimus, aka Hot Rod. So it's very clear that we don't know what Takara defines as Style Gen anymore because it looks like they just took, hey, let's just take Studio Series Hot Rod and blow them up, use the extra budget that we have now to use the individual plastic pieces that normally would have been on, like, let's say they would have had, like, let me grab my boy right here. I always keep him behind the camera. You know, let's take this guy, and normally he would have been, what do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you count the translucent. So he would have been on 5 sprues of plastic on 5 separate molds to make this figure. And those 5 sprues of plastic now are probably going to be like 6 or 7. Oh my God, why is this happening? But, you know, to be able to make up for stuff like would have been the yellow on the top of the vehicle or the orange or the yellow knees, which is another annoying one, or actually completing the boot properly because they have more tooling that they could hide it properly, or even the elbows and the shoulders and stuff. So the fact that they're able to have more of that plastic, now you can have orange pieces for the knees to have that. It's great. It looks fantastic. But my only complaint is, so then what is Style Gen? You know? I honestly thought like, okay, it's going to be a G1 hot rod, but there's going to be like other components that are related to other hot rods throughout the years. You know? I don't know. It's confusing because like the Optimus, it was very clear. It's like, oh, it's G1, but it's not. You know, we're gonna have some movie stuff. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have that. This one is just Studio Series, and I have no problem with that. I mean, this thing just completely glazes over the uh the past 2 masterpieces we got, MP28 and MP09. Those 2 past Roddies that we got, they look terrible in comparison to this thing. So I'm looking forward to this heavily, but at the same time, what's the story? Like and again, what's going on here when it comes to Style Gen? Because does that mean Style Gen opens it up to revisiting other characters? Like, could we get like a Style Gen Bumblebee or a Style Gen Grimlock or Megatron? And here's the thing, Style Gen, from what I've heard, is smaller. Now, come closer, people. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Okay? I have to talk this way in the microphone. So if Style Gen is smaller, you know, like let's say it's like a leader-ish kind of scale figure, right? Style Gen. And we get a Style Gen Megatron. And it's masterpiece. And it's Japanese only market. What do you think he's going to turn into? That's going to kind of negate something. Just putting that out there. But that's, again, if we were trying to understand what Style Gen is. But I'm just saying. Think about that for a moment. Let that ruminate in the skull. Anyways, so there's that. which is really cool. And we're going to learn everything about these and more because this Transformer Tuesday at 6 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m., 6 a.m., let me just get to the shot here, 6 a.m. Eastern Coast time, 3 a.m. West Coast time. Takara Tomy is going to be doing a massive T-Spark live stream on their YouTube channel with some guests, and they're going to be showing everything off, the transformations, the reveals, the prototypes. It's going to be wild. Wild. So we will see how that goes down. But we'll definitely learn more about it. And hopefully I hope that they try to really establish what is style gen for the future. You know, definitely is going to be interesting. Definitely is going to be interesting. But then, they tease this, and we're like, man, that's amazing. That's incredible. That's great. And then all of a sudden, like Hasbro sends me this in the email. And it's like, yeah, we got some high-res images of this. Check that out, yo. And it's like, hey, that's pretty amazing too, but like, what's going on here? Mind you, this one comes with a fishing pole, and a matrix of leadership. So maybe that's something to it. But man, like we got this too. So this pre-order dropped. We'll use, this was sent to me from Hasbro's marketing team. We'll post this one here while we talk. So this is the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye collection, Target exclusive, Voyager class Transformers the movie Hot Rod. There was a lot of drama over the weekend and everything over this because the pre-order dropped, sold out very quickly on both Hasbro Pulse and the Target website. Primarily because there was no time to really do an announcement or anything. The Hasbro team literally came back from the holidays on the Tuesday, and then it was just like a few couple of moments before that hit. And yeah, sold out very quickly. But here's the thing. Hot Rod is going to be part of a solid case assortment. He is a Voyager class. I can confirm that his case assortment is a solid case of 3. So sometimes you have cases of 4, sometimes you have cases of 3. He's going to come in solid cases of 3 hot rods in a case. So Target is probably going to have plenty of these. I get a feeling this is going to go from people, pitchforking and getting angry about not getting the pre-orders to, oh my God, every time I go to Target, all I see is Hot Rod. So I get a feeling that's going to be the case. So, but I mean, he looks amazing. Once again, we have the MPG one, but I mean, this one comes with the color scheme that's more screen accurate, the training weapons from the ship. We got the fishing pole. We got the clear matrix to represent when it first fell into his hand, when Convoy dropped it, Optimus dropped it. I mean, this thing looks amazing. Looks amazing. So it's like, I got this boy here, and then I have like a boxed one over there that I kept because I got the version 2 version to keep boxed. It had a nice box. And then I guess now we're going to have 2 more of that one. We're going to have 2 more of the Masterpiece. Then there's going to be 2 of the tiny turbo changers that I just showed you. Gee, it's almost like 2026 is trying to celebrate the 40th anniversary of a certain movie that he debuted in. And it's almost as if the year is not over yet. But check it out. Looking good. And of course, Nate from marketing, he addressed it, saying, don't worry, he'll be there in spring. It's going to be available. And there's going to be other pre-orders coming up this week. So what do we got here? And these are prices too. And the prices are interesting because they're all over the place. So the upcoming Target exclusive pre-orders, More Than Meets the Eye collection, Transformers the movie, on January 13th, Transformer Tuesday, we're going to be having Deluxe Class G1 Hound. There's the images there. The images leaked out early. And he's going to be straight up from the Autobot 5-pack. Some people claim there's slight differences between the two, but it's hard to tell with stock photos because sometimes the stock photo shows one thing and the final product is different. I think it's going to be more or less the same thing. And it gives people an opportunity to get that thing that they didn't want to have to buy a whole 5-pack for. And it also keeps the promise that they did to Target, what was it, 2 years ago? where Hound was supposed to be a Target exclusive. So, hey, that's great, if you ask me. So then you got on the next Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, a Voyager Class G1 Scourge. No confirmation if this is a straight up reissue of the original, if this is a redeco. JT Prime 17 mentioned that it could be one or the other. He does not know. Rumors of like, it being a purple repaint or something. Same thing on the Tuesday after that, January 27, 2026. G1 Optimus Prime Commander class. Supposedly this is going to be a battle damaged version. That's what I've heard. That might not be correct. Don't take my word for it. This is just people online saying things. So we will see what happens with that. Judging by the price point, $54.99, that puts it at a leader class instead, which means probably no trailer. So while the listing said Commander, it's probably just referring to what the sculpt is that's going to be included. Instead of like if they put Leader Optimus Prime, people go, oh no, it's going to be that Earthrise one repackaged again. No, this is going to be the Commander one, no trailer, and yeah, very hype. Maybe some extra stuff included with it. Who knows? If he's all battle damaged, who knows? Maybe like the shard that goes in his stomach or something. We'll see with that one. We will see. And then July is going to have a whole bunch of pre-orders also. We don't have any exact dates just yet, but we're going to have a Deluxe Class G1 Prowl at $27.99. So that's back to the normal MSRP as opposed to the Deluxe. That's $24.99. And that's probably going to be the Earthrise one, finally getting a more mass release. Then we're going to have the Voyager Class G1 Starscream. The rumors on that is it's going to be the Thundercracker. I know people are telling me it's like, oh, Evan said that we're going to get a G1 Starscream. Look, and this isn't a throw at Evan. This is like, no, you don't need Evan to know that we're going to get a G1 Starscream out of this. It's more a matter of when we're going to get it. And let me ask you this. Are you happy that we're getting a G1 Starscream as a Target exclusive? Probably not. So that's why I was hesitant to think, oh, is this going to be the new Thundercracker mold? I don't know, because it's something where it's like, I guess maybe they'll do a different Starscream. Maybe it'll be like a different colored Starscream, G2, toy accurate. Because to pigeonhole that into a Target exclusive would make a lot of people unhappy, especially when you're a Seeker collector. So pretty wild. Insecticon 3-pack, that's great. Takara already did an Insecticon 3-pack that had insane paint. So if you didn't get the Dramatic Capture 3-pack, I'm kind of hoping that it's just a repack of that, because some of those Insecticons go for pretty decent money now in the secondary market. So if you're like missing one of them, now's a good opportunity. Or alternatively, if it does do the Dramatic Capture 3-pack coloring, you get a Bombshell option, because that would be a Bombshell with gray as opposed to your individual one that was purple. So you'd have like one that's accurate for bug mode and one that's accurate for robot mode. Go watch my old segment about that, talking about the history of Bombshell and how he's one of those Transformers that is impossible to do in terms of screen accuracy, because his character model changes colors within his transformation and can't be done, unfortunately. And then you get a Leader Class G1 Megatron 86. Obviously, the rumors is also battle damage. So we will see how that goes down. Once again, celebrating the 86 movie and all that awesomeness. Tom Laney, how about the rust color Starscream whenever Galvatron blasts? Yeah, I mean, there's a few options. I think they should do something that's unique. That way you don't anger people that are just going to want to get a vanilla Starscream, And to be fair, I mean, many years ago, the first time Westerners got a Masterpiece Starscream was a Walmart exclusive that had battle damage on it. And if you wanted non-battle damage, you had to buy the Takara Japanese one. And that was like way back in the day. So, it's probably the best way to go about it. You don't want to create all kinds of trouble with that, So there's all of those listings, but there's more. There's more. Because then we also have all these collaboration items. Now, these are all under code names, which a lot of collabs, this has happened in the past. And we have Codename Kick, Codename Race, Codename Green, Codename Song. That is also going to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Codename Symmetry and Monster Jam 1. Now, again, I could be totally wrong, and we're just talking more of the Universal Monsters stuff. But it's Monster Jam 1, which implies that there's going to be others. and Monster Jam is a registered trademark that is currently with Spin Master, and Hasbro already has some, connections with Spin Master where they do some licensing and stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if Gravedigger, Bigfoot, what's another one of them? I think it was Jester. It's another one of the big names in Monster Jam. I dabble a little bit in monster truck stuff. It's because they would bring it a lot to the Olympic Stadium here in Montreal, so I was aware of a lot of it as a kid. But I wouldn't be surprised by Gravedigger or Jester or whatever, especially Gravedigger. I think if you pick one, it would probably be Gravedigger. That would get a Monster Jam, and that'd be crazy. That'd be pretty cool. I'll be honest with you. It'd give me a lot of that old vibes from Cybertron back in the day when we used to have that monster truck Galaxy Force figure. Oh, God, what was his name? I'm looking at him right now. Was he also called Dirt Boss? Was he called Dirt Boss? One moment. Was he Dirt Boss? Chat, was it Dirt Boss? Let me go grab him. Because he even has that great Gravedigger kind of coloring to him. Let's go grab him. Dirt Boss, I think he was. This bad boy right here. Oh yeah, it's Gravedigger colors too. He's got the purples, got the blacks, got the slime greens. Yeah, it was Dirt Boss. Yeah, my brain still works. So yeah, man. And he was, we're gonna try to transform this toy right now. Oh my God, I haven't transformed this thing in, no joke, this figure, probably it's the first time I'm touching him, and no joke, probably like 15 years. But he was pretty cool. Pretty cool. And this is an Aaron Archer era kind of figure. Gosh, how did I find? Okay, twist like this. Doing it live. Doing it live. I'll half transform them to kind of give you a bit of an idea. Because I gotta put those missiles back here, and then this goes like this, and then this goes like that, and then this goes like this. That was your first Cybertron toy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, it's not that complicated, this one. Okay. So here it is half transformed, so it gives you a bit of an idea. I'm doing it with no memory of doing this. It's been so long. I'm just doing this is all muscle memory. No instructions, no nothing. There we go, kind of. But so he was pretty cool. Good monster truck. And he put the force chip, and it would actually probably should get a force chip. Do I have something that could, my screwdriver's upstairs. Need a force chip. So let me use this little sword. 1 second. So, there we go. So you would push it, and then this would expand, and then the guns would come out and everything. All the little gimmicks that they used to do back then. Is Aaron in the chat today? Yeah. So very cool. So I think that would be awesome. I think that would be really cool to do that. But again, I might just be reading way too much into this, and it ends up just being the Creature of the Black Lagoon, or the Wolfman, or whatever, or a reissue of Dracula. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But that's cool. Hey, that it was your first Transformer was that guy. That's a good one to start with. Cybertron was such a great line, man. What a great line. What a great bunch of figures. But so there's a bunch of those. We could speculate until our faces turn green. No pun intended. But supposedly we're supposed to get a Batman in all of this. So maybe Batman is one of these. Maybe Batman is Song or Kick or whatever. That was another one that was on there. But either way, very, very cool. Very, very cool. But then we got these two. We also have, in late 2026, supposedly we're going to get, for the first time, not counting bots, but the first time, some transforming Autobot and Decepticon insignias. That's how they list their insignias. I would call them logos, emblems, sigils, insignias they listed as. Maybe that's the verbiage that they want to use, but these are planned for late 2026. Up to this point, the only transforming Autobot emblem we've ever had was a little bot, and that was it. And those are very simple, and wouldn't exactly. So this might be something a little more complex and interesting. We'll see how that goes down. But very, very cool also that is in the weeds. And then the last one here, this one is not 100% confirmed. The individual that provided the news, he's called Bricky Links. Bricky Links has in the past revealed Lego product that is legit, and that's why I'm reporting it, because usually when I see stuff on the net that's a little sus, I don't report it until it's been confirmed by reputable sources. But supposedly, we're going to be getting a G1 Megatron for our next Lego Icons. Supposedly. Now, what is he going to turn into? I don't know. Some people have suggested drill tanks. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just, yeah, okay, give them the robot mode. Do a really cool robot mode. Maybe do something that it can make a really stellar robot mode, and it could transform into something that doesn't make the robot mode look like crap, and it still looks like if they could make a G1 Megatron that has an amazing screen accurate Fluoro Deary animation model, and then it transforms into a jet. Hey, awesome. It transforms into like, I don't know, some kind of car or vehicle or truck. Hey, that's great. Just so you could say that you did it. So you could have a G1 Megatron to join the others here. I guess they want to balance out the bad guys. And maybe they just didn't want to go do a Starscream. Again, I think Grimlock would have been the best bet, but maybe they just really want to do Megatron. Again, it's the thing with Lego Icons and the thing with Lego in general is they got to do the Legendary 7. They got to focus on what is popular with the mainstream audience, what is going to sell well. It's something that Optimus, as popular as he is, it's not like the Lego Icons Optimus Prime was getting scalped and selling off the shelves. So there's a little bit also of a bit of a diminishing returns when it comes to this. Optimus is a big name, Soundwave is a big name, Megatron is a big name, and then it kind of goes down from there. Grimlock I would add to that a little bit too, but Bumblebee, and then, some other Legendary 7 stuff, a Starscream could fall into that. I'm not saying us hardcore fans. I'm saying the casual people that would want to pick up this stuff. And then when you get into the Devastators and then the B tier characters of the Shockwaves, the Jazzes, the Prowls, the RCs, and then you get into the C tiers with like, gosh, the Hot Rods and some of the others. Maybe you could put Alita in there. Obviously Transformers 1 would put that stock up a little bit more. But it is what it is. So I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about that, because I don't I don't know how they could do this that could be satisfying, I guess is the best way to put it. And it's not even me who's going to buy it. It's her that loves Lego like crazy. It's only because it's Transformers that I'm like, okay, I guess I kind of want this too, because now it's our two worlds combined. But you know, I don't know. That's a weird one. Not on the old bingo card, in my opinion. So yeah, I agree. Whiskey Grimlock would have been the perfect one, because Lego already has a deep history with doing dinosaur stuff, so it would be a safe bet. Grimlock is ridiculously popular. The way I look at it is I look at it like this: the Lego Icon stuff is aimed at a mainstream audience that isn't the hardcore fans that are also high-end ticket items. And I compare the Lego Icon stuff to that of the RoboSen stuff. And if you look at RoboSen and you look at Lego Icons, there's a really interesting synergy of the two, of the choices of characters and stuff. Again, we mention the Legendary 7 on the podcast all the time. All the time. And for people that aren't know, you're new to the podcast. Hi, my name's Proto Man. I'm a psycho who loves Transformers and knows everything about them, and runs the largest podcast in the world and works on the brand sometimes and everything. But the Legendary 7 was an internal term that was used originally by John Warden. John Warden, who was the leader of the Transformer brand between 2015, he kind of really started getting the reins. And then he bounced out around the beginning of development of Kingdom. So I'd have to say the inside of it, I'd have to say like 2019. So, but for that chunk of time during Combiner Wars and Power of the Primes and Siege and all that stuff, uh, he had a term which was used through multiples years of just taking surveys and everything, and it was called Legendary 7. And it was the 7 most popular characters of Transformers, not so much with the fans, but with the mainstream. Someone who's a MCU fan, who only loves Marvel movies and collects comic books, you put a microphone in his face and go, name Transformer characters, And what we did is they didn't only just name Transformer characters, but they'd be like, oh, Optimus Prime, Megatron, the dinosaur guy, there was that Volkswagen Beetle Bumblebee, and then the guy who turns into a gun Megatron, I remember him. And then there was Sound Tape, who had the dog that would come out. Like they would, and the same 7 characters would always come up. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Grimlock, Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, Devastator. Those were the 7 that always came up. And no surprise, that's the ones that are used for marketing. That's the one that's used for licensing. That's the one that's used for mainstream characters. Those are the 7 that resonate like crazy with the mainstream audience all these years later. So Grimlock, that long-winded answer, Grimlock I felt would have fit in with that. Obviously, I know why they want to do Megatron because it's Megatron, but it's going to be a tough one to do. And Lego has that anti-gun, anti-war stance, so that also kind of adds a weird extra element to it. I know that Megatron was originally on a Lego minifig custom shirt that you could have ordered from their website, and they removed him from the website. So that made me also go like, what's up with that? I reported that a while back, Oh, McTankies. What's up, McTankies? Oh boy, did he just give 50 subs to everybody? Oh boy. Thank you, Mr.
must be
McTankies.
stopped, no matter the
Oh boy.
cost.
A lot of people are gonna get. We're just gonna lean in here and just turn off the alert box for a moment because it's gonna be going off for the next while. Thank you, McTankies, for the subs for everybody. It's gonna lead to a lot of questions and good stuff. But yeah, so there's that one. So let me know what you think. I mean, again, I have no opinions one way or another ultimately in the end because I know she's going to want to get it anyways, but I'm just kind of curious how they're going to tackle it properly. They did a great job with Soundwave. Soundwave was fantastic. Bumblebee was kind of eh. Optimus was good. Soundwave was good. Bumblebee's kind of mid. Megatron, I don't know. I do not know. I do not know. And then just an update for people who are part of the Patreon. We will be uploading the latest episode of Transformers Wild King soon. It aired just recently in Japan. So we will have that uploaded very soon. So stay tuned for that for people who have not been able to see the latest episode of Transformer Wild King. So check that out. And that's it for the news, more or less. We already went over an hour now at this point. We do got some sponsorship to cover and then some other little tidbits we want to cover too. So let's talk about first Symbiote Studios. Plush pins and t-shirts. We are 2 weeks, excuse me, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. We are 3 months away from TFCon LA. Symbiote Studios will be present at TFCon, and they will have, of course, their awesome Transformer Plush collection, official Transformer Plush, their t-shirt stuff. I'm rocking the Soundwave today, and their pins. They'll have a ton of Transformer pins that they have there. They have a lot of great product, their pillows and everything. But the big thing is going to be their collection of Dinobots. Swoop will be making his debut at TFCon, so check that out. I'm telling you right now that Swoop is going to sell out. I just know it. So if you have not already, definitely when you come to TFCon, probably you might want to go to the Symbiote Studio booth first and buy your Swoop figure, Swoop plush, and don't wait on it. And then complete your Dino collection. And then what'll be next? Stay tuned and see. And of course, their My Little Pony line. A lot of stuff going on with that. If you're a pony bro, you got all the other winter collection stuff, their pin sets that they put out. And for me, the Magic the Gathering stuff looks absolutely delish. You need an Urza or Jace pin. That's the only thing that I like. I like to see an Urza pin. That'd be really cool. And of course, the Toy Armada. Go check out the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. Aaron's going to get back to doing some segments soon. And of course, some live streams. Just getting back everything in order. Now that he's in Rhode Island again. And check out his brand new Posca paintings. These are some new ones that were added on the website today. archermonster.com/shop. A brand new Unicron one was added, a brand new Sunstorm one, and a whole bunch of others. Go own a one-of-one piece of Transformer history, designed and drawn by the man who created those figures on original 20-year-old, in some cases, instruction sheets. For people that don't know what that is, let me go grab an example here. I had one just by recently. So, what do I got here? Oh, I got a Metroplex. So he'll take original instruction sheets. This is a Cybertron Metroplex one, and he will draw you. Actually, he'll probably do it on a nicer side because this one doesn't have a lot of, you could just kind of cover it all up here with the art. But he'll draw a nice in Posca paint of the character on there, and then you could frame it, hang it on your wall. Look at Shia. Look how happy he is with that Posca painting. So go pick one up from archermonster.com/shop and own a piece of history from the man who created those Transformers. Check it out, yo. archermonster.com/shop. Yeah, we got to get paddles. Yeah, that'll be another one. And then, of course, this Wednesday is the debut of my ongoing Mega Man series, Mega Man X The Comic Series, issue number 0, special issue number 0, will be hitting comic book shelves. And you have a choice of a whole bunch of different covers here. It's all the same story. Just, that's just the modern comic market is. You pick your variant cover. This special issue is drawn by Chamba of Street Fighter fame. He will be just doing issue number 0 for us because it's a little bit of it's a semi-prequel story. So it's issue number 0 for this with Mega Man X. And so that's going to be hitting Wednesday, New Comic Book Day, this January 14th. I wrote the story, and then next month after that will be the beginning of the ongoing issue number 1 going forward, at least for the next 6 months, of the Mega Man X storyline, and that'll be drawn by Hanzo in Japan. So check that out too. Of course, also on the 14th will also be that variant cover that everyone's been talking about. So if you go to your local comic shop, ask them, do you have the variant cover for Mega Man Legends with the Transformer stuff on it? So they might have that cover. Your local comic store, I believe, had to order 5 copies of Mega Man Legends to then qualify to get this special cover. So it's like there's 5 covers of regular and then 1 of this. It's a rarer cover, but a very awesome one at that. Drawn by the legendary Joshua Perez, easily one of the best colorists in the comic book industry. And that's his awesome contribution to this Mega Man stuff that's still getting infused with Transformers if I have my way with it. You're going to see way more Transformer stuff from Mega Man in the near future from the cover nature. But speaking of news also and why everything was falling behind like crazy. So last night at midnight, the news dropped. So I will be the headliner of Free Comic Book Day for the limited amount of books that will be available for Free Comic Book Day. Mega Man Showdown Special number 1, written by me and art by Mick Fong. Let me tell you about Mick Fong for a moment. Mick Fong, one of his first gigs ever was working on Mega Man for Dreamwave. So the old Dreamwave comic books back in the day of Mega Man, not Transformers, Mega Man, were drawn by Mick Fong. So me and Mick Fong are getting together, and we're going to be doing Mega Man Showdown Special, issue number 1. Absolutely free on Free Comic Book Day. Go to your local comic book store, ask them, hey, are you participating in Free Comic Book Day, and will you be doing it? Go to your local comic book store on May 2nd on Free Comic Book Day and pick up a free copy of Mega Man Showdown Special number 1, written by me, art by Mick Fong. The cover here is drawn by Chamba. He did a great job. And there's also going to be a small backup story of Mega Man Battle Network, also drawn by Chamba. So check that out. I get to finally write a Proto Man story. Living the dream. Living the dream. So check that out too. Really cool stuff. We'll have more info on that as it comes. In all honesty, guys, look, I worked on this and I had no idea when all these announcements are happening. Like, no idea. So hopefully we'll have more sneak peeks and pages and stuff, and we'll show you guys what we're cooking over the next 6 months when it comes to Mega Man and all the other brand stuff. Between what we're gonna have we're gonna obviously, like, the plan is if at TFCon LA, I'll bring a small stack of books, and by the time that'll be March, we'll already be like 4 issues in at that point. So I'll bring a small stack of books for people that want to pick it up. I would heavily suggest try to pick it up from the comic shop. That helps a lot better if you pick it up from the comic shop. It supports the local stores and stuff. Don't buy from me because you feel like, oh, I want to give Proto Man the money. Give it to the store. The store should get the money. It's really, I'll bring the comics if it's for people that don't have access to local comic book shops and stuff like that. Like that's really who I'm bringing the books for. A lot of times with TFCon, you have people that travel from Spain, from Germany, from the Philippines, from Japan. They might not have access to Western comic books. So it's really more for those guys. But if you're also someone that's in a Midwest town that has one McDonald's, one Burger King, and one Wendy's and a dirt mall that has no comic shop, then that's cool too. So I'm bringing a small stack of each one of them just to take care of you guys. And again, if you want autographs and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to do that. No charge. I don't do that. That was the one thing that last TFCon at, geez, what TFCon was that? They all merged together. That was TFCon Chicago. TFCon Chicago. The one thing is, do you charge for autographs? Do you charge for autographs? Do you charge for photos? Don't worry, guys. Don't charge for any of that. The payment is your presence. That's the real payment. So, but I'll have a whole bunch of books and stuff too available by then, and there'll be some reveals also by then too. Hopefully. Again, I don't know what's going on with the reveals, so we will see. But there's that gloriousness too that's popping off. Rockman EXE, yep. There's going to be a Battle Network story too. Udon now is going to be doing some Battle Network stuff. Also, there's a lot of other big announcements that will be coming, hopefully within the next 2 months. We'll see how that all goes down. Still waiting for the upcoming Blockies Rockman. Well, that was a rumor. You know what's funny with that? That was something, there was a Blockies representative from South America, I think it was, that did that interview and mentioned that there was going to be Mega Man stuff. And then that interview disappeared. And it was like, uh-oh, did someone get in trouble? So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Blockies and Mega Man, that's like a match made in heaven because they could churn out a ton of characters. Uh, Brandon Miller, you just described the town I live in. Well, and again, I know it's a reality. Like, you have to understand, like, here in Montreal, right? South of us is the state of New York, right? And while if you take a 5-hour drive, it'll take you to New York City and Manhattan and New Jersey, like that little bubble. If you just drive 40 minutes south from my house here in Montreal, you're in Plattsburgh, New York. And so when you're a Montrealer, your first experience as a Canadian in Montreal is going to be Plattsburgh, New York, as for America. And Plattsburgh, New York is your typical, like almost like Midwest. I know it's not Midwest, it's East Coast, but it's your typical like Midwest kind of small little everything America little town. It has the one giant mall that has everything and it employs 50% of the city. And then you got a couple this and that, the one Chinese restaurant, the one this, the one that. It had the one Target, like to kind of like date, I used to go there. It was the one KB Toys, the one Toys R Us that they had, the one Target, the one Kmart that they had. They had a bookstore at one point that's gone now. They still have a Spencer's Gifts, which is wild that survived when everything else died. But yeah, I'm used to those small towns. Montreal is the equivalency of New York City. It's a big metropolitan, crazy, multi-million cultural city. So I grew up in that, but I'm so used to those small towns because as a Montrealer, if you wanted to go to the States, if you wanted to cross the border and do some shopping, Plattsburgh, New York was your first hit. And it right away grounded you to, oh, this is America. And then you go a little more and then you could get to New York and then you go, oh, there's New York. Okay. Big difference. Burlington, like Vermont is good. Burlington is cool. Like some of the smaller places, they're fun. I liked I think it was Burlington, which is the one, it's Burlington or Vermont. One of them doesn't have a clothing tax, so you could get a lot of like really cool clothes and stuff there for cheap. Like you could buy like your basketball shoes and there's no taxes on it. So when you're paying like $150 for shoes, that's a lot of savings, as opposed to if I buy basketball shoes in Canada, just the taxes alone will kill me. But very cool. El Kevo, you can't underestimate the power of teenagers spending their parents' money. That's the only reason any Spencer Hot Topic stays open. Well, I mean, yeah, like Spencer, what I used to remember of it, me and my sister when we would go in there, it was where like because and this again, South Park was like the new hot show, which was like 2001, I want to say, or 2000. And I remember like that was like the only place you could find like South Park posters or action figures or like novelty stuff. Now when you go in Spencer's, it's almost like goth meets adult stuff. Like it's kind of weird. They have some interesting t-shirts though. They have like some unique shirt prints. I saw like race car stuff, which was cool. And they still have a Hot Topic, which now is practically like 50% Funko, 50% like t-shirts, and it's very different today. Like Hot Topic used to be very interesting back in the day. Completely. There's whole YouTube videos that talk about the evolution of Hot Topic throughout the years. Yeah, where is Archer today? Just chilling, I guess. You know what? He's tired. Yeah, he had a long week of doing his thing, so I don't blame him. I don't blame him. The kids, the family, the setting up, the new move. It's not easy. I don't blame him. I mean, if he had what I had, oh boy, I can only imagine. Mass also has no to clothing that. Okay, there you go. Well, that's why, like, because like me, I like to once in a while, like, get a nice pair of shoes or something. And you have to understand here in Quebec, 15% tax, 15%. And everything's more expensive already in Canada. So to go to somewhere where it's going to be cheaper and no tax, sign me up. Way better. I'm willing to drive 40 minutes to get a pair of shoes, across the border to go get a pair of shoes. MMA Panda in California, we have Suncoast Video and Sam Goody. Oh yeah, well Suncoast, Sam Goody, which is kind of like Sam the Record Man, and Suncoast. I've been to a bunch of those. Those are cool. Those were good back in the day when you wanted to find like weird DVDs. I think it was a Suncoast or an FYE was where I found my Beast Wars Season 3 DVD box set back in the day. Like I remember like if you wanted to find those on the cheap, and you have to understand back in the day when DVDs first started, it wasn't like easy to go on Amazon and buy your DVD box sets, or you wouldn't find all the selection at a Best Buy or Future Shop. Do you guys have had Future Shop? I know we did, but Best Buy, is another one. El Kevo, I feel like I say it all the time recently, but Aaron has been pretty active on Patreon. Can't wait for the next Toy Armada. Yeah, yep, man. We're working on stuff. Aaron's working on a secret project too, which I can't talk about. So that's also kind of eating into things. So, but you'll see that soon also. There's another little something going on. Ninjatron, Future Shop is Canada only? Okay. I'm I'm so used to like just I have this like baked into my soul that because I live so close to the border, I consider it like just part of my options. So sometimes I go, "Oh, is there Future Shop in the States?" Like it's like that's why it's like Marshalls. Is Marshalls there or Winners or TJ Maxx or JC Penney? Like, they're all interchangeable, you know? It's all crazy. T Formers 2002, RIP to FYE. Love combing through their many rows of used DVDs. Yeah, I liked FYE. And they also, what I liked about them when I would visit them in the States, they'd always have like some kind of deal where, like, for whatever reason, they'll be like, hey, if you spend more than $20, like, we have this excess inventory of die cast Marvel figures. Like they'll always have like some kind of I remember one time I went, they're like, "Hey, if you spend more than $5 on DVDs, like you get to pick out of like our bins of pins." And they had like a Racer X Speed Racer pin, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool, okay." And then another time, like I got a Spider-Man die-cast figure, like, and they were all in like these individual like sealed baggies, like they clearly got them from somewhere, like they were promo items or something. So they were always cool. They were always like, "You got a little bonus," like, "Oh, hey, I was already going to get this Beast Machines box set," you know And then I get a little Spider-Man figure, a little Captain America figure with it or something. So they're cool. I like them. It's a shame that they're gone. I didn't even know they were gone because you just go back and forth and you're just like, oh, it's not there anymore. I guess it moved, or something, or they moved it out. But the one I always miss, and you guys heard about me before, Tom. I miss KB Toys so much. Like that was without a doubt the greatest toy store if you're someone who's spending on no money. I didn't have a lot of money growing up, and any money that I did get from doing odd jobs, especially back then, whether it be telemarketing or doing gardening in someone's backyard or helping someone move mattresses, like these were all the small odd jobs I had at the, shout out to my buddy Pierjeev. His dad owned a mattress, company. And once in a while they needed like people just, young bodies to move heavy mattresses. So, hey, I would make $100 in a day. Thank you, sir. That would go a long way. Hey, I could buy some Beast Wars toys, so like working for a video store, putting buttons back. Like I had all these little small odd jobs in my teenage years that any little money that you had to stretch it as far as you can because it's not like next week you were going to have another influx of money and a paycheck. So something like KB Toys was like a godsend because you'd go in there and they'd be like, yeah, buy 2 Beast Wars figures. Originally $10 for each deluxe, but if you buy 2, it'll be 15. So you save $5 and you'll get a free VHS. Like they'll give you a little bonus VHS like that has like 2 episodes of like, Coming of the Fusors or something. Like I literally still have them to this day sealed. Like I loved KB. It was the best. Was the best in the world, man. But their whole system was flawed as a result of it. If I'm saving money, that means that they're not getting full value and full profit. And the fact that they have to give away stuff, do these promos, and everything constantly has to be on sale, that means they're not making as big a profit as the Toys R Us's, the Walmarts at the time, the Targets at the time, the Walgreens, you know. So it's a different story. Miss them a lot. When they finally closed, I remember there's a photo somewhere. I have an old photo somewhere. I went to KB Toys when it finally closed, and I was standing outside the KB Toys. It was now all boarded up, and it still had the neon lights, and I just had my hand on the glass, and I was just like, I have a photo of it. I have to dig it up. It's from like 2007 or something, or 2006 maybe it was. I remember, and it was so sad. I was like, oh, goodbye, you know. El Kevo, I replaced my broken Beast Wars Inferno with a brand new one in 2003, thanks to KB Toys. Yeah, well, KB would just have inventory forever. KB Toy, like, goodness, like, the one that I remember was they had these Mortal Kombat figures that were like 50 cents each. And they were like these 6-inch, like Reptile, Smoke, I think Cyrax was part of that set, and they were like 50 cents each. And I was like, my God, I didn't intend to buy Mortal Kombat toys today, but I am now. It's 50 cents, I spend that on chewing gum. So I bought those. They had some Resident Evil figures that were on sale. I bought those and I didn't even care. I was like, okay, I'll get a Jill Valentine Toy Biz figure for $1. Like they would blow out stuff and you'd be like silly not to buy it because you'll buy it. And if you somehow change your mind, you bought it for $1. You could then bring it to the local toy show later and sell it for 5 or something. That's my entrepreneur brain, even back then going. Mateus, hey Proto, can you tell us more about your telemarketing days? So I had a friend so one of my first jobs, like one of my first jobs outside of like the video store was my very first job. Um, and I'll even tell you what I bought with the telemarketing money afterwards. So just before I was graduating high school, in Quebec, we have grade 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then we have like a pre-college afterwards. So before I was graduating high school, I was 16. I just turned 16. I'd been working at the video store for, geez, I want to say 5, 6 years now. But the video store was under the table money and I was underage, so it was also kind of illegal work, and I was getting paid, no joke, $5 a week. But it was a piss easy job. I sat with Salim. Salim was my boss, super awesome dude. Love that guy. still to this day, I wish only the best to him. He's such an awesome guy. And the fact that he let this kid just sit back there with him, people would return VHSs, and then you have to put the button back on the shelf, and then I go back and sit with him again. That was the job. It was so easy. So easy. And once in a while someone would call on the phone, "Hey, is Ladybug with Rodney Dangerfield available?" And then he'd be like, "Daniel, go check if in the comedy section if Ladybug is available." That's it. That was the job. And then you just sit around watching movies, or in the back we had a Street Fighter 2 machine, which later became a SNK World Heroes machine, that later became a Killer Instinct machine, which later became a Samurai Showdown machine, you know, constantly in rotation with a Mortal Kombat machine. Like, it was a simple, fun job, and I got paid $5 a week. My logic was it was like an extra allowance, and I would do it like 3 hours a day. Then I got a job doing telemarketing as a teenager. I worked for a company called Netcom, no relation to any of the other Netcoms. I am convinced that the guy was just stealing money from people. We would call, this is what we would sell. We would call hotels and then sell to them a catalog that had all the phone numbers for other stuff. So, like, I guess like this phone book had like, mattress companies, probably soap dispensers, like, the stuff that you would fill a hotel with, that you would maintain it. So we would call them to sell them that phone book. Now, keep in mind, this is pre-internet, so that kind of makes sense on paper, but actually it wasn't pre-internet because I had the internet at that point, but it was pre-mainstream internet. It's pre-smartphones. This was, if I had to pinpoint it, 1999, 1998, around there. So, like, the internet existed, but only like weirdos like me and a few other people had it at the time. DSL wasn't a thing yet. Cable internet was very expensive. You pretty much used your phone for the internet. 56K modems, what, you know? And that's what that guy would sell. And here's the thing, that phone book was $100. And yeah, 9 times out of 10, I would call, they wouldn't want it. But you get that one mom and pop, motel or whatever, and they'd be like, "That sounds like it's a valuable, interesting thing," and they'd buy it. And I'd almost feel bad because I'd be like, "Okay." But then again, maybe because, I had the internet and I thought there's ways you could find mattresses. There's ways you could find toothbrushes, like, okay, whatever, you know, whatever. So that was that. And I worked there for 2 weeks. And I remember like logging my hours and like planning in my head, "Oh my God, this is how much I'm going to make." Because, like he says, if you sell a book, you get a commission too. I think it was like a vague number. It was like, "Oh, it's 13%, but it's like if you sell this many books, you get a higher percentage." And there was like obviously there was a whiteboard where a person's name would have lines next to it of who made the most sales and stuff. Obviously, I would sell like one every like 2 days, so I wasn't exactly a most valuable asset. But I remember my paycheck felt light, and I was like, "Oh my God, I think I didn't even get paid in full and everything." I got paid like for 2 weeks of work, 8 hours a day. I think I got paid like $300. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. So I think that guy ripped me off in the end. But what really killed me was I cashed my check after 2 weeks, and then the following Monday I go to work and the whole building is empty and the guy just disappeared. And I was like, wow. And because how you got paid was you got paid 2 weeks behind. So technically, I still had half of a check that I didn't get yet. 1 week wasn't paid yet, so he just disappeared. So yeah, so that sucked. But then the bright side of that story is I took that money, I went on eBay. This is 1997, 98, 99. I'd have to pinpoint it. And I bought G1 Star Saber mint in box for $130 American, 100% complete, never touched. So it was worth it. Paid off in the end. Whatever. That guy was an idiot, but that was that job. Not fun. There was jobs that I did that were more physical and everything, but at least, they were fun. They would be with friends or they'd be with a boss that was respectful and stuff. My first mechanic job was working for a company called, if you're Canadian, Canadian Tire is a garage and retail company. one of my first bosses in mechanics was this guy named Sebastian, this German dude. He was so cool. He was awesome. He was so cool. Like, he was just the most relaxed, chill dude. If something went wrong with a customer, well, don't worry about it. Great guy. Like, sometimes you get a really cool boss, that's just like, there's bigger things in life to worry about, you know? And that's kind of a great way to look at life too, Yeah, we're all here to make money, but don't stress. You don't need to bring the stress too. We're all living there's an old saying, we're all eating the same shit sandwich, so you don't have to like spread it around, you know? So I dig it. Yeah, $100 was too much, Rudy Mac. It was $100 back in like the late 90s too. I remember he gave us a copy of it so we could just kind of have a reference of it for when we're talking on the phone. It was like a phone book, like the old thick, big ass phone books. And it was whatever. It was whatever. It was just like, oh, hey, you need to order towels. Here's these companies. You need to order, whatever. It was like like when I worked at Burger King years later, they had something similar where if they needed to order other stuff, more like cleaning products and everything. It was a company called Distill, Distal. So like, and I think McDonald's uses it too. It's like, it's like a reference company for like the materials to function with these amenities in these businesses. Except we were selling the book as opposed to like other companies that just would have had it. But Ontario Swedish Chef. Yeah, hey, how you doing, Ontario Swedish Chef? Yeah, those are great bosses. Like, I've had bosses that were indifferent. I've had bosses that were real dicks, and I've had bosses that were awesome. You know, like when I worked at Burger King, you had bosses that were like they took this stuff way too seriously, and then you had guys that were the most chillest people on the planet. I want to give a shout out to him because he was such a good human being. I had this one boss at Burger King named Lionel. He was a Haitian dude, salt of the earth. He would speak to me in Creole. Creole is like it's like French, but like with their twist on it. But he would speak to me in French Creole, and he was just the most chill dude because he would see how hard I would work and be like, you know what? Go have a free breakfast. Prends petit déjeuner. That's what he would say in French. Go have a free breakfast. Go chill, relax. But because the lunchtime rush was going to come, any other manager I'd have, no, you're not allowed to have free breakfast. You're not allowed to take a break. He was chill. And he was an older dude too. He got it. He was a manager. He's been around. He knows that, like, don't be a dick, you know? And he was a good guy. And he used to call me Elvis because back in the day I had nice hair. you know, you Google old photos of Proto Man. Proto Man used to have a nice, luscious head of hair. So he'd be like, oh, Elvis. So I had a lot of good bosses. I had a lot of good guys, and you remember those dudes. Those dudes they stay with you for the rest of your life. Like it's like, and you want to you say to yourself when you have those good experiences, if ever you would be in those scenarios, you'd want to be more like them and less like the bad bosses that you have. So those guys are always they're good examples for your life. It shows the good in people. And him, it's funny because like he ended up leaving before I did to become a manager, like a head manager at a KFC. So I'm sure he was happy, although that's a very unhealthy place to work. At least with Burger King, you have like options to eat healthy. You could still get like a grilled chicken breast and baked potato and stuff. With KFC, you have no choices anymore. So, Mateus Proto, your first language was French or English? So my father and mother my father speaks French, my mother speaks English, and my father and mother were like, "Let's see what happens." They were gonna like let nature do its thing. So my father was secretly trying to make me French, like talk to me in French when I was a baby. But what really solidified it with me, this is a story I've told many times, is here in Montreal, you have just as much French television as you have American television. And PBS had Sesame Street. PBS had Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, and those guys were way more appealing than the kid shows that we had on French television. If you're French, Passepartout, that's their puppet stuff that they have. So it was Big Bird that determined which language I would first start with. I speak French perfectly also, but that would be my language. That would be my direction, meaning what I would go into school with and stuff. But of course, I still speak French too. So Uh, but it's just Big Bird was just way more appealing, you know? And same thing, Mr. Dress Up, which was a Canadian exclusive. I don't know if you guys would know Mr. Dress Up, but Mr. Dress Up worked for Fred Rogers, and then he spun off and had his own children's show. But those three. Oh, and the giant. What was it called there? The Friendly Giant. Is that Canadian exclusive or is that also American? There was also the Friendly Giant. That was another one too. I loved as a kid. But those like my mom said it. She's like, you saw Big Bird, and then that was that. Like that was locked in. And when I think back now, like I've thought about this. My earliest memories ever. Like if you could think back and think what were some of the earliest memories you've ever had as a child. It's crazy because one of my earliest memories, and what's crazy is because I remember it so clear, I was able to go back and pinpoint the date of that memory, which was some of my earliest memories were watching episodes of Knight Rider and early WWF stuff with Hulk Hogan. And my uncle was a big wrestling guy, still is a little bit to this day. And it's something where he would put it on because he lived with us in the basement. He would put it on and I'd watch with him. And I'm talking like I'm like 2. I'm like 1 or 2 years old. And like I would go back and one of my first memories is Michael Knight falling out, Michael Knight from Knight Rider, David Hasselhoff falling out of a stairwell from the side of a building into a dumpster. And I just have that memory burned into my head. And years later, finding that episode, what was the name of that episode? And then what was the air date? And then going, oh my goodness, that was like 1985. I was like 2 years old. Like, so like that, like Hulk Hogan, WWF wrestling, and Knight Rider were like my first two memories, like my earliest memories. That and standing up in my crib and playing baseball. Like I have a little plastic bat that had like Mad Balls on it, the brand Mad Balls, and playing baseball in my room. Like I just swing the bat and a little waffle ball would bounce around playing sports. Was the Friendly Giant Canadian only? CBC. Okay, that's why it's because I don't know what's exclusive to what because you get all the channels when you're a and same thing like French television was a lot of anime. Was a lot of anime. Like so I was watching anime before I even knew what anime was. Like the first time anime clicked in my head, oh, this is anime was Samurai Pizza Cats and then Ronin Warriors. But prior to that, I was watching anime without knowing. Speed Racer, Captain Alberteur, which is Captain Harlock, and UFO Grandizer, which was called Goldarak here in French, and Yamato, which was called oh my god, Captain Flamme, you know. So like so much of that. Mystery City d'Or, Mystery City of Gold. I could go on and on. All the French cartoons that I watched. You had options, which was cool. T-Former's very early memory was hiding from my aunt in Walmart and them closing the store down for several hours. Oh no. Oh no. They had to do like a lockdown. What were you hiding in the clothing section or something in between the clothing? That's hilarious. Yeah, Astro Boy was called Astro. Oh no, it was called yeah, it was called just Astro. Voltron was also in English. Macross was obviously Robotech, that was in English. Yeah, Samurai Pizza Cats, Ronin, the anime path. I have a great book upstairs. I have an absolutely fantastic book from America. It talks about, and it's a great visual book. It talks about the early history of Japanimation. You know what? Do you guys want me to go get it? Because it's a really cool book, and people who like Samurai Pizza Cats and Ronin Warriors and stuff, they'll dig it. They put out what happened was Sailor Moon had just come out here in America and had blown up. And Dragon Ball was still Dragon Ball. It wasn't Dragon Ball Z yet because Sailor Moon debuted in 97. Dragon Ball would really blow up in like 98, 99 in Toonami. But oh, there's Aaron. There's Aaron. But I have this really cool book that that I got. Oh man, it's probably on like in my manga room. on the top shelf. But it had like it really documented like the early days of anime in the West, and it had like all these cool color pages and stuff. And I bought it because at the time Sailor Moon had just come out, and me and my sister were like, "Oh my god!" Like again, you can't find any Sailor Moon merchandise in 1996, and there was this magazine that just had Sailor Moon on the cover, but it was actually a book about the history of anime in the West. It was very interesting, very very cool. And Ronin Warriors was in there because Ronin Warriors predates all of that, you know. And again, the new Ronin Warriors anime is out right now, and holy crap, it does not hold back. It is Ronin Warriors for adults. Like Ronin Warriors grew up with its viewers. So if you want to watch a new what you want to know what Proto Man's watching right now, it's the new Ronin Warriors series. Good old Samurai Troopers, as it's called in Japanese. Where's Butters? Oh no, Butters isn't here. Butters is upstairs. You know what's funny? It's been really cold the past couple of days because I started realizing like why hasn't Butters been coming down in the basement? And it's because it's really cold. And so like recently because it's been so cold, and cats are all about just staying warm. That's like their goal in life. He's been staying in the kitchen next to the vents there. So he hasn't been hiding. Yeah, the new show is brutal. I remember watching it, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be a throwback to the old show Ronin Warriors with the new generation, and it does not hold back. So if you're a fan of Ronin Warriors, go watch that new series. Wow, it grew like it's like oh, all the fans that grew up with it, they're in their like 30s and 40s now and have back pain. Let's make this an adult show. It's amazing. Give it a check. You used to have the Ryo figure with the white armor. I still have all of those. Again, I went to KB Toys and bought those all. Love them. Those were Playmates back in the day. Rest in peace, Playmates. That was one of their lines that they did. The funny thing is, one of the designers from Playmates, they said that the only reason why those Ronin Warrior figures even exist was they wanted to test out a new spring technology that they wanted to use with future Ninja Turtle toys. So they figured they'd try it on Ronin Warriors first and see if they would be able to handle kids play and stuff like that. And then they just ended up releasing the line ultimately in the end. And then Ninja Turtles would end up getting power armor stuff, which the Ninja Turtle anime would show. And of course, the spring stuff. Good stuff. Anubis, Quake with Fear. I love Ronin Warriors. Such a great anime. Fantastic. I always called it the male Sailor Moon equivalency. They had also similar colors, similar stereotypes of the characters, even similar elements. Like the light blue one which was his Psy. The light blue one had water. So did Mercury. Rio had fire, and so did Ray. And then you had Psy, who was electricity, and so was Jupiter, and they were both green. And then you had oh my god, I'm blanking. Sage. No, Sage was the light blue one. He had a projectile weapon with his bow and arrow. So did Sailor Moon with her tiara. Like it's weird. There was these parallels that existed. Again, me and my sister watching TV, making all those comparisons. Uh, Taco Drummer. Those spring powered punches were so cool. Play feature. Yeah, it was awesome. I love the armor too. The only thing that sucks with those toys is now today the armor, like the horns and stuff, because they were made out of rubber, a lot of them dry out now and break, which is a shame. But now you could buy updated versions of them. Now you could buy like crazy SH figure art level ones. So yeah, but go check out the sequel to Ronin Warriors, Samurai Troopers. It's literally it's set in real time 30 years later. It's like it's 30 years after the original show ended, and it's written for adults. Amazing. Amazing. Amazing show. Like so far what they put out, I am very intrigued. Sometimes, you have like these old brands and you go like, okay, like we could, this brand when it was created, it was written for kids to sell toys and stuff. Yeah, it had a little bit of violence of it, but most Japanese anime have some kind of violence. But this goes the extra layer. This goes like this is clearly made for adults. And I think it's also Japan just recognizing, look, we could have made a sequel to the Ronin Warrior series and play it safe and make it for a younger demo. But let's be real, Japan doesn't have a lot of children anymore. Let's make it for the teens. Let's make it for the adults. Some good stuff. It's some good stuff. Sage was the green one. Rowan was the dark blue, and yeah, Kento was my favorite. By the way, Kento was my favorite. Kento of Hard Rock, Power of Hard Rock, and he had Iron Rock Crusher was his move. What a great show. Loved it. And it was one of the few anime that when it was brought over, it wasn't like censored. Like obviously they changed the intros and outros and modernized them. And fun fact, Ronin Warriors is David Kay's first voice acting job. He was the intro to the show. So if you watch the intro, he's the narrator. And he was a couple of the characters. It was his first voice acting gig. So if you want to see David Kay's first job, Ronin Warriors, and then Akane's father from Rama One Half. There's David Kay's first two jobs. You want to hear Beast Wars Megatron going, "5 fantastic battle armored samurais, Ronin Warriors." It's a fantastic, great song. Actually, probably I think Scotty's probably there. Scott McNeil's probably there. Ian Corlett is probably there. It's probably all the Ocean crew. Now that I think about it, probably Richard Newman's probably there too. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if Gary Chalk is there. Gary Chalk was doing a lot of Deke entertainment stuff at the time. Can't wait to see Gary again at TFCon. How many episodes is the new one? It just started literally last week. It just started last week. We don't know. I don't know. There's some info out there how many episodes it's going to be, but it just started like recently. But yeah, good stuff. Like that's I love it when they do stuff like that. I really do because you know, when you have some of these brands and it's like they know that the only people watching are going to be adults anyways, why are we going to waste our time making it for kids then? Might as well just go all in. And it was great. So episode 1 might be all that's available right now because I only saw episode 1 and it sold me. I was like, "Oh my goodness. I'm in. I'm in." You know? That's how they should do it, you know? I don't want to spoil. I don't want to say anything, but it's like, yeah, that's good stuff. Because if you watch, like let's say like Saint Seiya, which is kind of like a parallel to Ronin Warriors in a lot of ways in terms of like I don't want to say like storytelling, but what they're trying to do, sell toys, armor stuff, pretty boys. Saint Seiya always played it safe. They always made sure, yeah, there's just enough violence, but not enough to like give it that PG-13 or something like that. It's just enough that anime would have. So, Ontario Swedish Chef actually got to talk with David Kay at a Toronto Fan Expo this summer, and we talked a bit about his original roles. Well, yeah, I mean, David, Scotty, um, Richard Newman, Venus, that Ocean crew. And I know I'm forgetting somebody. There was the guy who played Ryoga in Rama One Half. I forget his name. Was it David or something? Michael something. Like those guys, man. They were running the gauntlet back then. Let me tell you, they were like splitting time between Deke Entertainment, which would be like Captain N, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show with incidental characters. Uh, my goodness, Hurricanes. There's your deep cut for a soccer cartoon. You know, like they did all these like weird kind of shows and stuff, and and then they would do that all that other crap, all that other anime dub stuff that was like paying extremely low at the time, but it got your foot in the door in the voice acting industry. You know, El Kevo, I never got into Ronin Warriors, but a lot of my Hispanic friends got me into Saint Seiya and Dragon Ball long before it was mainstream. Well, yeah, Dragon Ball, Saint Seiya. If you like, again, Spanish, French, I mean Portuguese. You're talking countries that had anime, well, countries that spoke those languages that had anime way before the English speaking market. The English speaking market already had so many great shows that they didn't need to really import stuff. There wasn't a need for it. Sure, there'd be attempts, but there wasn't really a need for it. Where like, if you're in Spain, are you going to pay a license to Sunbow Entertainment or some of these other companies to get a translation of your show in your native language, or just get a VHS tape of Saint Seiya and some shifty company. And I'm not saying it's specifically just Spain, but I'll say even French. Here in Quebec, get some shifty company to just dub it for you and put it out there on the cheap. It's so much easier to put anime out than it is to get some of those, mainstream licensed Anglophone shows at the time. So it only made sense. Michael Donovan, there you go. I know. I was like, Michael Donovan. Yeah, he's another one too. Michael Donovan was all over the place. Did a bunch of Transformer characters also. You know, Yep. Mateus, yeah, Saint Seiya was very popular around here in Portugal. Yeah, specifically Portuguese, Spanish, Spain, Spanish, but it could also be like, Mexico and South America and certain regions, and French. Chevalier de Zodiac, aka Knights of the Zodiac. Saint Seiya, and I believe it was Saint Seiya in Spanish also. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Chevalier de Zodiac for us, Knights of the Zodiac. Mateus, not only that, but many other anime, DBZ, Naruto. Well, Naruto will be later. I'm like, in the 80s, I remember specifically Saint Seiya, Kinnikuman, Musculeux Man. They only played the first 14 episodes, but I remember Kinnikuman was available in French before they canceled it. They didn't make it in time to the Broken Man episode, which would have got it canceled anyways. So that's probably why. Um, not going to say why. That'll get me a flag on YouTube. But yeah, look it up. Brocken Jr. and Brocken Man. Yep. Spanish dub of DBZ was pretty bad. Well, again, it's not that it was pretty bad. It's that how you guys would get this stuff, and it's the same thing with French, is it was done on the cheap because it wasn't licensed. It was probably a VHS version. And then they would just kind of either they'd speak over the Japanese dialogue, and what they would do is they'd play with the audio levels so that usually most of the time in Asia and especially in China, a lot of times the audio track is the right side of the speaker or the right side of the stereo, and the music and everything else is the left side. And the reason why they do that, and this was an old technique back in the day from China, if you had Mandarin and you had Cantonese, which are two different dialects of Chinese, depending on which side you'd put up the volume on the speaker, whether it be the left side of the stereo or the right side, you get the language. So that's how you get dual language on a VHS tape or a television show. So they would do that back in the day. But sometimes with Japan, because they knew they would have to do that, the dialogue would be on the right side of the stereo, the everything else would be on the left. So if you got VHSs of that stuff that were recorded in stereo, you could then dub them. And that's how dubbing of anime works. Little history lesson for you guys for some, you know. Obviously, more professional companies would get better audio tracks, master tapes, and stuff like that. But the more, I guess we'll call it guerrilla warfare way, the much more simple, way is different of how it was done back in the day. And again, China, that's notorious for bootlegging, would have to rely on that system too. You know, uh, where are we at? Where are we at? I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. My God, we're almost out of time too, and I didn't even get to show you guys what I got today. So, I want to show you guys what we got. So me and the lovely lady, we went out. We uh, we did some shopping and everything, just doing our basic grocery shopping and stuff. And finally, I found the case assortment of these guys. So again, I love collecting Super Mario and video game merchandise. The thing with the world of the Nintendo line is every time they do a wave, there's always like it's always Mario and Luigi are fillers. They'll put one guy that's a filler of a villain or something, which in this case was the Skull Piranha Plant, and then the two uniques, Princess Daisy and Birdo. This is the very first Birdo figure outside of a little PVC, a little Keshigumu from Japan, and a chess piece. This is the very first Birdo figure in 33 years. It took 33 years to get a Birdo figure. Insane. Insane. And she doesn't come with an egg. She comes with a block, which kind of sucks. Should have been an egg, but I love the detail. Look, she even has a little ring on her finger. That's really cool. I love Mario too. So Birdo, awesome. And just because Daisy never gets figures, so they retooled Peach and they turned it into Daisy. Sure, why not? You know, very cool, very cool. So stoked about that. And so it's hilarious. I buy like I buy two $12 little Mario stuff, and she goes, "Yeah, Daniel, I'm just gonna buy a case of these." So she just literally walked out with the entire case of. She didn't even open them yet, but she already used the codes. If you know, you know. She got the full set of the latest Lego minifig thing, so that was over $100. I remember I was like, oh, who's the crazy toy collector? This was like $24 when everything was said and done. Yeah, she is crazy. She's crazy. And what did we get? What did we eat? So we went out to a lovely dinner. We went to the dinner and we got fried wonton with dipping sauce. We got some kind. This is her plate. Some kind of mixed noodles with rice and chicken and everything. And then I got a beef with broccoli with carrots and dry noodle and everything. And then I got a jackfruit drink. That's actually this is the first. That's at Asiam Modern. That was the very first place we ever went on a date. So we go back there all the time. Owned by two Cambodian people. The food is amazing and very cheap too. So we went for that. I think that no joke, all of that probably cost us like $25 and a $4 tip. you know, $25 for all that, which is very good for two and 25 Canadian, keep in mind too. For two adults to feel full. It was very good. Uh that's why you two are made for each other. I don't know about that. You know what? I think about it sometimes and I go, having two people that like collecting toys, you do end up with the problem that I had when I lived with my parents. Because when I lived with my parents, my father's a toy collector. I'm a toy collector. We both had our stuff in the basement. And it was this thing of like, it was encroaching on each other. I remember like by the time like Energon and Cybertron started coming out, like the collection started to bleed out of my bedroom and into the hallway because I lived in the basement and my father's toy collection was also in the basement in a separate room. If you guys watch my Father's Day video, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll get to see all the craziness. Um, but so like my stuff started encroaching into the hallway, and then his stuff started encroaching into the hallway, and then it was like, uh-oh, is the Energon toys going to take over, or the Rolling Stones and diecast corgis and dinkies, So, and obviously in 2009, 2010, I'd already moved out at that point, thank goodness, because the Michael Bay movie toys were going to kill me. But it's the same thing. It's like I look and I'm like, man, like if she didn't have her Lego collection, if she didn't have her Tokidoki, her Playmobil, her Gem and the Holograms, her other Barbie stuff, her her My Little Pony vintage that she collects, World's Smallest. What am I forgetting? That she also collects some California raisins, but that has a cap because there's only so much California raisins merchandise. She collects certain figurines of any character she cosplays. She then wants to own figures of them. So she owns figures of Chung Li, Baroness, the Huntress from DC. Who am I forgetting? Oh gosh, Catwoman from Batman Returns. The Michelle Pfeiffer version specifically. She'll get like figures of that stuff because now that she's cosplayed it, she feels connected to it, you know. So she wants to like own figures of those. So that's that. If all of that stuff didn't exist, I'd have enough room for another 8,000 Transformer toys. I'd have enough room for a whole bunch of. I can have that SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball collection I've always wanted to have, but I can't. There's no space for it. So sometimes, it's not always for the best to be with someone who's also a collector. It works out because she understands it and respects it and is part of the fun of it. And she's really good at finding stuff. Like she's on Facebook Marketplace looking just as much as I am, and then she'll find things I like. So there's that teamwork that exists that's good. But the flip side is now you also have two people that are collecting. And, I've always said it never ends. To quote Simon Furman, it never ends. So you run out of space sooner or later, no matter how big your house is, you know? So it's something where you got to be smart with it. But yeah, I just want to say, Joseph, Gem and the Holograms, the live action movie, I am actually grateful for it because that movie failed so poorly. That's what actually probably opened up one of my opportunities to work on the Transformers brand because when Hasbro and their marketing team worked with that guy who worked with Justin Bieber and did his movie, whoever that director was, forget that director. It was I believe it was a Chinese fellow. Um, yeah, he just completely derailed 3 years of planning for Hasbro, and because that movie bombed so badly, they freaked out and they vowed like never to like just give the brand to people that have know nothing about the source material. And so while it screwed over Gem, it also opened up opportunities on the Transformer side for copy and for creative consulting and licensing and stuff like that. So thank you, Gem and the Holograms, for being crap. The movie, anyhow. Hey, Proto, you and your wife talk in French or English? You know what's funny? So she actually was raised in French, but we both speak in English. And now, but her English, like if you spoke to her, you wouldn't know that she ever spoke French. Her English and French is flawless. I would have to say her French is almost better than mine because she went to a French school. I went to an English school. So she also had that extra layer of, I guess we'll call it language socialization. Like, languages are spoken, but there's also body language. There's also slang. There's also like, if you catch her off guard, we would say something like, oh God, or oh my God, or something, like in French, it's oh bella. She would say that instinctively, even though her English is perfect and she uses English regularly. But so her English is, we speak to each other in English because English is just, I find English is it's a hot take. And I'm French. I'm born French, raised French. I think English is a better social language, in my opinion, of the two, from my experience. I find that there's more flexibility, nuance, tone. Tone is very important. And, that's coming from someone English, French, Japanese, uh, and two other languages that I'll keep to myself because that sometimes it's a controversial languages, but, you know, the point is I know those languages and I see the nuances in those. Um, but yeah, rumor Transformers Generations 2027, codename Spark, first wave of Protectabot member. Oh, maybe it's possible. John Chu, there you go. John Chu is the director. He wound up doing just fine, did he? I don't know, man. Like, cause yeah, I know how he got the job was he did so well with that Justin Bieber movie or something, and so they figured, oh, music, right? You're French Creole from New Orleans. Well, I dealt with a lot of Creole, let me tell you. A lot of Haitians. Worked with the Haitian community quite a bit. Quite a bit. Moi. Instead of saying moi, they would say moi. I love that one. It was almost like they were speaking in the third person sometimes. I remember the first time I encountered it, I think I was like a teenager, and I was like, what is going on here? Is this Ebonics but French? Like my brain couldn't understand it, you know? But it was funny. There you go, Rudy Mack, Ebonics. There you go. See, that was exactly what I was thinking when I first encountered Creo, you know? But it's good. Again, what I like, I like people from there because they're very respectful, especially the French speaking ones from in Montreal. They're really good, you know? But yeah, we are at the 2 hour mark. I don't think there's anything else to cover today. Otherwise, we covered the news, we covered the announcements, we covered the listings, we covered this, we covered that. Again, TFCon is going to be in March coming up. I am 95% going to be there. I don't think there's anything that's going to stand in the way of that, to my knowledge. So that should be good. Not much else in terms of news or other stuff going on right now in terms of conventions or tour dates or stuff like that. Again, next week is going to be the drop of my comic, so I'm going to be very busy with that. In terms of, I know I have like an interview with some website or something I have to do, but got a lot. I'm working on a lot of that stuff. Other comic stuff I'm working on, so that's all happening, and that's all just January, and then next month, even more stuff. Possibly a trip to the other side of the globe, to Japan again. No confirmations on that one yet, but we'll see what's happening. It's always last second. We got a gold super chat before we go. Always comes in the clutch. Kevin PH. I swear 2026 might be the final straw for many collectors. They're quitting collecting either because of the prices are getting too high or because they already got their characters they wanted. Well, totally understandable. Look, you got to do what I do. Look behind you, okay? You don't think that I got every character that I needed to get already, you know? And this is one wall. There's another wall. There's another wall, okay? You wait. Sales will happen. I literally would show people. I did a panel at TFCon many years ago, and it was called "How to Save Money Collecting Transformers." And at the time, it was like I think it was like 2012 or whatever, because I remember it was the DoubleTree location. No, was it the new location? I don't remember where the hotel was, but I remember telling them, and I literally showed them the math. I said, like, if you wait for sales, right? Yeah, there might be that one figure that gets away that ends up becoming an expensive figure that maybe 3x's in value, but the other ones don't, and they go down in value. And those $25 figures end up being $5 a piece or $7 a piece loose complete. And I tell people, go to conventions. I get it. It's not near you or something like that. There's got to be something. You got to have a con. There's got to be like you can't not everyone is living in the middle of nowhere. There still has to be something of some kind of convention. Even if you live in like bum F middle nowhere, there probably is something that's happening 2 hours east, 2 hours west, 2 hours north. Get out there and get to a show because so many people are liquidating their inventories at cons. Like if you could somehow get to a TF con, my goodness, you know, wait for sales, sometimes Target, sometimes Walmart, sometimes this. We post sales all the time on the TF Slag Discord. That's part of our Patreon thing. We let people who are part of the Patreon get into our Discord. We post the sales on there so you could save money so you don't have to pay full money on your hobby. But it's something like I get it. There's some people that live in places that don't have conventions, but in general, most people do have those opportunities. They just kind of landlock themselves. They go, well, if it's not 30 minutes in this direction by bus, I'm not going. Well, then you're not going to go. You know, people look at my collection and they go, oh my God, he has these Japanese Transformers G1 and Minerva and all this stuff and everything. It's because I worked a job minimum wage and I saved money to get a plane flight to do a BotCon to get those deals. And yeah, you could argue that all that money that you spent on travel and everything falls into that. Yes, sometimes you're right, but sometimes you're not. My flight from Montreal to like BotCon, let's use a close one, BotCon Cincinnati in 2008, right? Was $300. Do you know how much a Shattered Glass box set was that I bought I bought the Shattered Glass box set for $300. So 300 for the flight, 300 for the box set, and also counts with admission and stuff. It's all part of the package. So $600 spent. So even then, $600 spent. Box set is now like 1,500. Let alone all the other stuff I bought that weekend. So trust me, play the angles. Go to TFCon. Buy the exclusives. Sell the exclusives on eBay. Make back your cost of travel. Those exclusives always sell out, and there's always some nutcase that wants to get that, G2 variant, third party, whatever, that sold out that weekend. Sell the exclusives online. Pick it up, buy it, sell it online. Then you just made back some of your costing. Go to the con. There's tons of deals. Oh, find all these cheap Transformers. Go back home to your place that has no conventions and no nothing. Guess what? Now you're a monopoly on Facebook Marketplace in your area, because now you'll be the guy who has all the product, because you just came back from the mythical land of TFCon, and now you have all this product. There's a way to become your own business and make money and be able to enjoy your hobby. I live in Quebec. French language laws, all kinds of problems, high taxes, Canadian taxes, all that stuff. I also have hurdles and difficulties and opportunities. Working with Canadian dollars, not good, but I find ways to go to like working at Burger King and still going to every BotCon. How did I pull that off? Because I'm not irresponsible with my money, but I also knew if I'm going to go to BotCon, I'm not buying one box set. I'm going to buy two. Because when I come back from BotCon, I'm going to keep one box set, but I'm putting that other box set on eBay, because that way I could pay for my flight, pay for the hotel that I split 4 ways, pay for the food because we're eating at the $1.99, little diner place that was under the building nearby, so we could eat cheap every day. There's ways to do it. There's ways. There always is ways. The only problem is if you right away tell yourself, "Oh, I can't do it because of XYZ," then you disqualified yourself of any way of pulling it off. You right away are just giving up. And there's too many people that are like that. Too many people that are like that. And then you're never going to experience a convention. You're never going to have fun. And then you're just going to be one of those people that are like, "Oh, I wish I did XYZ." And then they say that at 30. "Oh, I wish I did XYZ." And they say that at 40. "Oh, I wish I did XYZ." And they say that at 50. And then they retire and they have a little bit of money and they're 60 now. And now their back hurts when they try to walk in Japan. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. You know? James, and then there's the con experience. I'm even ignoring the con experience. I'm just saying the monetary part of it. Of course, the con experience is the whole extra cherry on the cake. I'm just saying there's a way to do it. Goober. I don't want to throw Goober under the bus. Goober and me didn't have a lot of money. And Goober still doesn't have a lot of money, in my opinion. And Goober goes to every TFCon. He lives in Winnipeg, which is like 15 hours away by car, maybe even more, because he finds a way. Because he knows he's going to go to TFCon, he's going to pick up the exclusives, he's going to find some cool deals at the charity auction. Go to the charity auction. Go to at the end of the charity auction, the make a deal part, Goober's in there. Goober's, "Oh, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get, oh, could I get this for $1? Okay, I could sell this for $5. Okay. Oh, could I get this for $5? Okay, I could sell this for 50 on eBay. Okay. Oh, this Mega Man figure. Okay. How much is this? 30. Okay, I'm going to put that back. Like there's opportunities. You have to be in a little bit of a money-making frame of mind if you want to enjoy these things. You really do. I know it sounds like, "Oh, you're simplifying your hobby and just making it about money." Look, guys, this is how the world works, okay? And trust me, all your complaints that you're deriving at me stem from the thing that you don't want to do is get money. Oh, there's no conventions around me, because you live somewhere that doesn't have things around you. Why don't you move? Well, I don't have the money. Well, why don't you come to the convention? It's too expensive. Is that money? It's always it's money's the only thing that gets in the way. It's a tool. Put yourself in an opportunity to pay for those expenses, and then you can enjoy the convention. Have a great time. Meet people. Have an experience that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. You'll get some souvenirs. Money is tight in your household. That's cool. But here's the thing, my friend. Sooner or later, you got to take care of your own stuff. My mom has back issues now. Plus, I have a lot on my plate now, my family and mental health. Look, everyone has their own problems. Everyone has their own hurdles that they have to get over. I had unemployed parents at one point, and then I had a mom who was working a secretary job getting paid minimum. We had 2 Christmases with 0. So I know the pain of money problems, you know? I know that. 2 Christmases. I wish my sister was in the chat. She could talk about how we literally had to wrap our own presents because we had nothing. We had nothing. We literally just took. I bought this one little Micro Machine Power Rangers 1993 playset that had it came with Titanus, I think Squat, and a couple of the Rangers in fixed poses, and that was under the tree. And that was it. That was it. And then we wrapped it because we didn't want to have nothing for Christmas. That toy was probably like $4. You know, we didn't want. We literally took our own money that we had, the little money that we had, to buy one present, just so we didn't have nothing. I get it. I went through that, but I was also lucky because when I was in high school, I had a teacher named Mr. Jacobson, who I am ever grateful for, that taught a taxation class in my high school in grade 10, and it taught you money, taught you how to file your taxes, taught you how money works, how money moves. And they'll never teach that in the United States. They don't teach that. Because the longer you stay poor, the more you stay in the system. But anyways, I don't want to go into that tinfoil stuff, but Big Bob Bodega, you can make reservations and not even pay until you're there. Oh, dude, yeah, of course. Look, when you reserve your hotel, you don't have to pay. You can like cancel at any time. I think you can cancel up to like a week or 2 before. You reserve your hotel, you split it with 4 guys, you drive down, you split it with 4 guys, or you get a flight, you get a cheap flight, you worry about do it on standby or whatever. Do a standby, and yeah, sure, you might end up waiting at the airport for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Guess what? You're on your phone doom scrolling for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours anyways, you know? Which would you rather do that? On your couch or at the airport, soon to go to a Transformer convention that'll be a hallmark in your life, you know? Uh, where are we at here? I want to make sure everyone has their own hurdles, they have their own family problems and stuff, but the thing is, don't also use that as a way to make an excuse. And I get it, you're gonna be like, "Duh, proto, but I can't." But don't use it as an excuse to stop yourself from living your own life. You have to at some point push ahead, and there's ways to do that. My grandmother had Alzheimer's, you know? She lived when she had Alzheimer's, she was going through a rough time, you know? She lived with us. You know, we all have those things, you know, that we have to get through. But don't let it be that thing that derails your life. And then what are you going to do? You're going to for the rest of your life you're going to resent it and then use it as a negative point, and then you're going to pull from that forever and let that be, oh, you know, I could have been something, but oh, XYZ, you know. Don't don't. There's too many people already in this world that they victimize themselves way too much. They make themselves victims of some kind of thing that they were in total control of as human beings. And I will say this right now, you know, don't be one of those. Don't be one of those, and you will be so much happier. You'll be so much happier. You have no idea. I have no reason ever, ever in my life to be sad. But everything was everything was under my own creation. You know, I put myself in those scenarios. I worked hard to those scenarios. And if there was problems, I tried to figure out solutions because there always is a solution to a problem. You know, that's why I hated when you had people who would be like, oh, why isn't BotCon near my city? Why isn't BotCon near my city? While on every year from across the border in another country, I was coming every year on a Burger King paycheck because those people don't want to solve problems. They want stuff fixed for themselves. You know, you can't do that. Well, if you don't like people or isolation, then hey, it works out. And then, then that's it. You know, then you solved your own problem by not going. Go be around the robots. Rudy Mac knows what's up. Rudy Mac knows what's up. Rudy Mac knows what's up. Rudy Mac is a good man. You know, I always feel like, you know, we as a species, I feel like we're going on a longer rant here, but I'll finish it up. But we as a species, we're supposed to be around people. We're tribal. The human race, which derives from cavemen and monkeys and whatever you want, if you're a creationist or or a evolutionary person, regardless of which path you are, we're pack animals. We're tribal, and because we're like that, we need that in order to survive. We need that in order to feel happy. We need that desperately. And it could be as simple as having a significant other, as having a best friend, as having a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, a whatever, a cousin that you're really close with. It could be as simple as that, or it could be a whole community. I'm not a religious person at all, but I remember someone said it the best. They said the reason why sometimes people who are religious are very happy is because they are forced to, whether they like it or not, every Sunday to gather with a whole bunch of other people, whether it be church, synagogue, some other mass, doesn't matter. But we're designed to be like that. Isolating yourself, keeping it to yourself, thinking that you're helping your own mental health, you might actually be making it worse. Trust me. Trust me. There's a lot of people I know who I'm friends with that I could identify as socially weak individuals, meaning like they're people that clearly weren't very social peoples, but I don't treat them like crap and go, oh, well, clearly this guy's weird, so I'm not going to talk to him. It helps them. It's like working out. You have friends that, yeah, they were the weird kid, but then the weird kid becomes friends with you and you guys hang out and then he's not the weird kid anymore because he learns to talk. Because it's like working out your muscles. In this case, it's working out, hanging out. You know, I joke about it all the time with one of my ex-girlfriends where I used to listen to her. And when she would talk on the phone, I'd be like, oh my God, she sounds like me. Because she was kind of like a geeky girl and she didn't really have a lot of friends. And then she hung out with me all the time. And then she saw how I was, and I'm Mr. Don't, you guys know it. I could go 2 hours doing this. And she saw that and we indirectly pattern stuff because they go, oh, it works for him. So it'll work for me. Like I see that a lot with some other people that I know. It's just, it is what it is. But we're tribal people, and you can't take that factor out of it. You can't. And I don't think it's healthy for people to isolate themselves. Even if they say, "Oh, I'm a loner. I like keeping to myself." I like to believe sometimes that I'm a loner, that I like to keep to myself. Sometimes I like just chilling and playing video games and hanging out and doing this and doing that, you know? But then you talk with me at the bar and I don't shut up for 3 hours. So how much of a loner really is he? You know? So, and then look, and then Joseph, you're saying this is a huge waste of my time. Now you're just going into a negative space. Do you want to be like that? You know? Now you're just like, again, you're just oh geez, did I just click on that? You're just propagating and continuing those kind of feelings. Bro, be positive. Don't worry about it, you know? But surround yourself with positive vibes, man. Surround yourself with people. It'll do so much good, you know? It'll do so much good. It really will. Especially like as you get older, you know? As you get older, when you're not going to be able to move around as easily. And when I mean older, I mean like your 60s, your 70s, your 80s. Do you think someone who's in their 80s is going to be able to do stuff on their own alone? It's not going to be easy. You're going to have that kind of stuff, you know? You know? Ninjatron, what are you saying? Because you're always acting like I'm a Lomo, but I could also speak in front of crowds. See, Ninjatron, see, that's why it's bull. You're not a lone wolf because you do public speaking, you do classes where you teach people how to draw, and you hang out with people all the time. So you're not a lone wolf. I don't ever see you for a split second, Dylan, ever just sitting alone, not talking to nobody. You're with Goober. You're hanging out with other people. You're doing a panel. You're teaching people how to draw. You're doing podcasts. You're doing all kinds of stuff. You're doing it. Would a loner be doing Twitch streams? Of course not. You do Twitch streams. So trust me, we're all social people, even if we would try to label ourselves otherwise. You know, trust me, my friend. Trust me. As someone who is a insane talkative social person, you don't think I've had self-reflection of this stuff all the time throughout my whole life? We were poor growing up. Sitting at the dinner table and talking during dinner was more of a currency than anything else because we didn't have cable TV. Like we didn't have any of that stuff. Oh my God, to rent a pay-per-view would be a dream. TF Twins spitting much facts tonight. Proto, thank you for the sharing the counsel and perspective. Another awesome live stream. Thank you again, Twins, and I hope to see you at TF. Are you going to be at LA? You guys coming to LA? I remember you guys saying you're going to be at LA. And Rudy Mack, we appreciate the positivity and extra time, Proto. No problem, man. No problem. Look, life is not as hard as people make it out to be. It's more that we live in a world today just of too many people, again, finding currency in suffering. Here's my weaknesses and everything that the world holds me down with, and this is now my identity. And then I'm going to live on that. And then by doing that, you would think from their perspective, I would imagine they think this is going to make their life easier, but then 5 years later, it's only worse. And then it's just spirals out of control. Lordy, the people and the stuff I see, what they post on social media and how they live, the things that live rent free in their head is sad. It's just sad, you know? Like when people ask me, it's like, I almost want to say, like, oh, how did you get to do Transformer stuff? How did you get to do Mega Man stuff? How did you get all these opportunities? Because I don't waste my time, any time really, on any of that stuff, on any of the other things. If you're going to spend 15 more minutes complaining about politics or any kind of crazy other ism stuff that's going on in the world and all that things, and then self-reflecting going, oh, woe is me because of my problems and everything, then you'll never get anything accomplished in life because you just wasted 15 minutes to an hour on that stuff, doom scrolling that instead of learning how to write a comic book or writing that next fan fiction or working on that new art style or working on that new website or learning how to code or learning how to video edit or learning how to do any kind of animation. You'd be surprised how much you could get accomplished in 1 hour. Or you could doom scroll and let the algorithm feed you negativity based on the negativity that you enjoy. I really like racism. Ooh, I really like these gender politics. I really like, politics in general. And ooh, screw these presidents. I love this stuff. This isn't totally unhealthy for me. Oh, this is so good. Who cares about that stuff? Are you going to change it? Are you running for office? It's not going to make a difference. Just take care of your own stuff. Worry about your neighbors. Worry about your work. Make your money. Enjoy your hobby and live life to the fullest. And that's it. That is it. None of that other stupidity. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. This is my favorite quote. I take it from Boondocks. Boondocks is this fantastic, go watch it, fantastic cartoon / comic strip back in the day. I'm paraphrasing it. This is my own version, okay? I don't have time for that shit. My best friend is black. My wife is yellow. I'm white. The bricks on my house is red. And my car is blue. I don't got time for that shit. I don't. I don't got time for that shit. I don't. But yet so many people make them have time for that. And then they think somehow I'm magically like, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I got these opportunities. No, I'm not lucky. I put the work in. It took me 32 years to finally write a Mega Man story. 32 years to finally write a Proto Man story. My namesake. I should open up my yearbook from 2000. My name is Proto Man in there. It's my we called it tag back in the day. It was my tag back then. 2000. 26 years ago. A few years before that, I played Mega Man 3 for the very first time. Now I'm writing a Proto Man comic book. That wasn't luck. That wasn't luck. That was not wasting my time with all the other stupid shit in this world. And I'm telling you, the people in this industry that are truly successful don't waste their time with that stuff. They really don't. And spoiler, they're also usually a lot happier too. They're also usually a lot happier also. Kind of weird. Kind of weird, eh? You know, the people that don't obsess over this stuff every day are also seem to be the most happiest people. And then we complain about mental health, but yet it's self-inflicted. Come on, guys. You can be stronger than that, you know? Boondocks is extremely underrated. Go buy the uncensored DVD box sets. Don't watch it on streaming services because they censor it. Go watch it. Go watch the DVD. Buy the DVDs. Amazing. Yeah, just do it. Like like Shia says. But it's just because I I went through all the ups and downs. Relationships, losing jobs, losing relationships, doing bad in school, doing good in school, finding where I belong in the world. We all go through that. Not having money growing up, living in a poor area. Côte de Neige in Montreal is one of the poorest areas. Good Lord, you know, good Lord. My uncle got like, someone broke into his area and stole his big old stereo back in the day when we were kids. We didn't live in the best area. That's why we had so many dogs because that was like a deterrent, you know. Doorbell rings. Roo, 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 roo. Okay, don't rob those guys. Don't rob those white people. Yeah, that's how it was pretty much. But you know, it's just you have to go through that and go beyond that. You know, it's and again, I have too many friends that's the way they live their lives, and it's sad. It really is. It really, really is. And you try to talk to them, and then you hear later on that, oh, I think Proto Man is, you know, he's not like supportive of my beliefs and stuff. It's like, no, it's not a matter of beliefs. If your belief is unhealthy mental health and being negative all the time, then yeah, damn right, I'm going to be on, you know, I'm not going to be supportive of your belief, you know, in the same way that if you eat unhealthy, I'm not going to be supportive of that either. Look, I want to eat, you know, McDonald's and everything as much as the next guy, but you will never see Proto Man holding a Coca-Cola bottle ever, ever. If I have soda at a convention, it's because that was the only thing that was available in the craft services at TFCon's, you know, whatever we call it, the catering room for the guests, because that's all they have usually, because soda's cheap. But if there's a water there, I'd grab that instead. Get me a get me a good cream soda though. That's not too bad. Patrick Brown was the adult swim show for black. I kind of remember watching it. Yeah, it was a great. It's a great show because you know something. If there's one thing I will say about black culture that I love, and again, I was raised around black people, so maybe that also helped a lot. But black people don't take shit. They don't. They don't have time for gender politics. They don't have time for that stupidity. Everything is a lot more transparent and it's a lot more about getting your shit done, you know? That's what it is with that culture. And I respect that because it's not the smoke and mirrors that's unfortunately some other modern cultures are going through right now, for lack of better words. You know? Like the old saying goes, white kid will look at your face if you're ugly and say, "Nah, you're okay." Chinese kid will look at your face and go, "Oh no, you're okay." Black kid will look at your face and go, "Damn, you ugly." And sometimes you need that guy who tells you you're ugly. Then you could fix that stuff up. Because if everyone else tells you that you look good, even though you're not, you're going to spend your whole life living a lie and not fixing that shit up. So, got to fix that shit up. Big Bot Bodega. I'm bad with Coca Cola. Bro, get it out of your life, man. Get it out of your life. I'm telling you. There's a certain big YouTuber that is suffering from type 2 diabetes because of it, because he never got it out of his life. And he's been drinking it like as if he was like pouring it in his cereal. Get it out of your life. I don't want to say who, but you could probably figure it out. So, some Kiat, true. Yeah, I started with the comic strip also from Boondocks, and then the shows afterwards. Anyways, guys, I gotta go. Thank you for all the love and support as always. Thank you for everyone who chilled with me. We peaked at about 150. The second I started talking about taking care of yourself, that's when people get the hell out of here. They don't want to hear it, but that's fine. That's fine. You got to clean out your own bedroom before you can live in your house, you know? And some people don't want to clean out their own bedroom. And I could say stuff, I could try to encourage them, but I can't force them to live their lives like that. So that's their choice, you know? And if I lose one subscriber from it, so be it. But if I save 5 lives in the process, I think it's worth it, you know? If it helps someone, I think it's worth it. Thanks, Proto, for the long stream. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. We went over a half hour more, but it don't matter. Take care, everyone. Take care of yourself, your friends, your family, your loved ones. The world is not such a beautiful place, as I always say it is. It's not such a bad place as people say it always is. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. There's a lot of cool people out there. And if you live in negativity, well, you're going to roll in negativity. I'm out of here. Once again, Patreon link down below. Come join us in the Patreon. Get your name in the end credit scroll. Help support the podcast. Thank you for all the super chats that we got today from the TFCon twins and everyone like that. Super awesome stuff. I wish they would list them better here. Sometimes they don't. I don't know why they don't. They usually I want them to show the past super chats, but they don't do it. Always doesn't. And thank you for Mr. Tankies for giving a whole bunch of people subs. I'm out of here. Take care. I'm gonna go see the lovely lady. I got to put away these Transformers now that I took out. As always, roll out.